And welcome. How are we doing on this wonderful afternoon? Wherever you are in the world, it's great to be with you. I'm joined by a couple of wonderful people here in the SCS studio. We have Nimiro, who's below me. I also have Jacob Mraz as well below me as well. It's great to
Hey
see you
everyone.
guys. I hope you're all doing well. We've got people from across the world from watching. So whether you're watching early in the morning over in America or late at night over in Asia, it's fantastic to all have you along for this very special release stream of Idaho. Are we not excited?
Yes.
I've already seen lots of people saying it's going to be a spudtacular stream. So the puns are going to be
It
real during
definitely
this
is.
stream.
Those are puns, man. Those puns, man. You need to
It's going to be
stop.
lots of puns all over the place. So it's good to see you all. Hope we're all doing well. Let us know if all the audio and video is going good because we do have a
Yes,
little bit
please.
of a
Yes, please.
tradition with that. I'm not going to call it a tradition, but it looks like we're all good for now.
You need to do the
But,
checks first, yeah.
Exactly. But just under 3 hours time until the release of Idaho. How are we feeling back in Prague in the studio?
Go ahead.
So let's.
How are we doing?
Let's.
No, okay, I'll kick it off. Namiro is a little confused, so he was checking his
Just a driver.
artificial watch right now.
Just a driver. Don't
We're doing
don't
pretty
shoot
well.
your driver.
Yeah, he's just the driver today. We're doing pretty well. Go ahead. We've been looking forward to this moment for quite a while right now because we've been on the marketing wave, and we've seen people getting excited over like the blog posts and videos and trailers. It was actually quite amazing, like the hype and all the likes and love that you guys give us. I was really looking forward to the release this time, and I'm really excited that the day is finally here, and we can finally share this moment with you. Unfortunately, Alex has to be in London because of the current situation, so he's not here to celebrate with us. But we got a bunch of people and a bunch of guests coming up here later on. So I hope we can remedy that situation with all we've got prepared today.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got lots of great things coming up. We've got lots of special guests coming into the studio, and you're one of our first. You've been on the stream before, but we're going to have a lot of new people who will be watching for the first time. So maybe, Jacob, if you could maybe introduce yourself and what you do at SCS.
So I guess, guys, that I will just go exploring Idaho meanwhile, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Namiro can start driving so you guys can
Jump
watch
in.
the gameplay, and I guess I'll do the talking.
Yeah.
Name's Jakub. You can call me Jacob if you will. I've been with SCS for just over 4 years. The beginning of last month was actually my 4-year anniversary at the company. Started as a junior map designer, and now I'm basically a map DLC lead. So I oversee a production of the entire DLC from pre-production to release and post-release. So everything from doing researches to the marketing materials and taking care of the DLC from basically every corner, like from testing, marketing, vehicles, map, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you've been with us quite a few times before on the stream, and
Yeah.
you've talked about your history as well, and it's great to have you back again. It's always a pleasure
good to be
have
back.
you. We also have Nimiro, who's driving with us today. I think most of you are familiar with Nimiro, who's hopefully going to be doing another zero damage stream like we had on the last one, which was a good tradition to have.
I mean, man, that's my standard, right?
There's like a 50% tolerance. So
Okay, but I never ever hit anything.
Absolutely, yeah. So Nimiro will be driving around Idaho for us. You'll be seeing pictures live as he roams around this beautiful new state, also nicknamed the Gem State. Is that correct?
yes, that is exactly correct. Now there's like 2 ways that the Gem State can be explained or understood from at least from what I know. The first meaning of the word is coming from the beauty of the nature. Basically, they call it the gem state because the nature and the sceneries are so beautiful that it's like a hidden gem. Most people don't really recognize or think of Idaho when you say a beautiful state or country, but in reality, it's quite the opposite. So a lot of people underestimate the beauty of the state. And the second reason why it's called the gem state is that one of the there's a certain jewelry gem called the star garnet is like one of 2 or 3 places on Earth. Idaho is one of the 2 or 3 places on Earth where this star garnet like gem is actually being mined or processed, and dug out. I think India is there as well, but Idaho is along there. So that's why it's called the gem state. Or your two explanations.
Dang, very interesting. I mean, I read that as well. I think there's up to 72 precious gems that can be found throughout the state in its entirety.
That
But like
many,
you mentioned, there's like just a few that can be found exclusively just in Idaho, which is so awesome to hear. And little facts like that always make the journey a little bit more interesting, I think. And you know, talking about Idaho and its production, it has been in the works for a little while, and I imagine it can't have been too easy as well to try and get the final things done throughout this time when we've been working from home as well. So, you know, how would you say how long was the project in development from the first idea till today? What's your kind of rough estimation?
It's not really an estimation. We know like almost the exact dates, but as you've mentioned, there have been quite some like hiccups or obstacles along the way, including COVID-19, unfortunately. But the preparations and the very first steps were taken just a little over a year ago when like one or two people started working on it. At the time, they were new at the company and they had like a learning experience. You know, we were going through the map design learning process and learning them all the systems and programs and how we approach things. But the main production kicked in about 9 months ago, where more people joined in. Actually, it was like September last year. But unfortunately, we weren't able to do full-time production until Utah was released, because we had these two overlapping projects that I had to oversee, and some of the people who were supposed to work on Idaho still worked on Utah. So it was kind of a hard situation where we had to do a lot of, you know, changing things. Yeah, and now I can hear myself twice. I don't know why.
Me too.
Yeah, I can hear you twice as well, actually. I'm not too sure why on that either.
Okay.
So basically, this is a stream of 6 people now.
I guess so. I have a split personality disorder. I have no idea why I'm here myself.
So it's a Jacob and his second personality.
I'm gonna ask our production, is anything wrong in production room? Why do I hear myself twice?
Apparently they can hear us just fine on the stream. Maybe it's just something more local to you. Maybe it's mic picking up.
My mic.
That's really weird.
That's very strange.
I apologize.
No, it's just here internally, Jacob. It's the guy. I mean, the community outside cannot hear you twice.
Yeah, but when I hear myself twice, it's pretty annoying.
It's getting on your nerves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are hearing ourselves twice. There's echo.
I'm hearing myself twice. I don't know why. Anyway, let's get back to the situation. I'll try to manage when I'll be listening, put the headphones back on. The situation, like I said, we had two overlapping projects with Utah and Idaho. It was a little bumpy. We had to move a lot of people around, back and forth, keep going back to Utah, you know, the finishing touches. That always takes a long time. So I'm really proud of all the people who got their hands on Idaho and Utah, because it was really quite a sprint for the last half a year or the last 8 months, where we had to basically maintain two projects at the same time. And I'm incredibly proud of how Idaho came out. Like, we're a little bit worried about the time schedule at times, but we then all figured it out. We found ways of helping ourselves, and I think it ended up being amazing. And from what I've seen, that people got their hands on it, like early access and betas. They're apparently loving it, and they're having a great time. So I hope everybody out there in the public will have as well. So I'm putting my headphones back. I'm putting my headphones back on.
Thank you for that insight. I know there was maybe a little bit of trouble with the audio, so we do apologize for that, folks. We'll hopefully get that sorted very, very soon. But what it sounds like is that the team has worked very hard on this, and obviously it wasn't easy when you're having to kind of do the two DLCs at once. You're kind of having to prioritize where your team is working, who's going where, and obviously a lot of work has gone into Idaho. And something that I always pick up on every single map release, and definitely in American Truck Simulator as well, is the amount of detail that your team loves to pay the attention to when you're putting stuff into the map and all the different assets and stuff like that. And that's something that always blows me away. I'm sure the community would agree with you on that as well. So how many people would you say on the team kind of worked on Idaho in the end as like a rough number, or do you know an exact number as well for that?
I'm gonna put my headphones back down because I don't want to hear myself. But in terms of numbers, it's kind of hard to say in total because so many people chip in with like little pieces of information here and there. But starting with research and map designers and the vehicle team, and the asset team, marketing guys. There's maybe about 60 to 70 people in total who are like involved in the development of one DLC. But some people just come in for a little while, help out, and then they go do something else. If I was to consider only the like main portion of the team, like for map design, there was about 10 people, I believe, who worked on it long time. About 10 people that have worked on it full time, with some switchbacks here and there. We exchanged some people with different teams. And from the asset team, there was like 4 people internally, plus a lot of externists. Like I said, in total, it was quite a large number, but I cannot give you an exact number right now, unfortunately.
Fair enough, fair enough. Just a little bit on the update on audio. It seems like maybe what's happening is your sound is echoing through the mic. When you put the headphones down, the sound's coming out the microphone. I mean, out the speakers onto the microphone that's on your.
So you need to
on
keep
your
them
collar.
on the head.
But I think maybe it's also coming out of Philip's side as well on Discord. Maybe it's worth trying to put his sound down or something. I'm not too sure.
It's a little unfortunate. Maybe we could get like a few-minute break to sort it out. Maybe like 5 minutes.
I mean,
would that be fine?
I will continue driving. I'm a driver. I cannot just stop in the middle of the road. But you guys can try to solve it. Meanwhile, I will be silent and just driving.
Well, no worries. We'll try to get those the audio sorted for you folks. In the meantime, we do have lots of guests coming up, and we've also got the release happening at 6 p.m. as well. We're pushing the big red button live here on stream, so make sure not to go anywhere. And well, what a journey it has been so far for Idaho. We've had lots of great blogs, lots of marketing activities as well that we've been doing to kind of show off Idaho, look at the assets, look at the map changes, and kind of give you an insight of what was happening from the very start until this point. And it's always such a cool journey to kind of see, how excited you guys have been getting hyped up about Idaho. And for a lot of people, they're very excited for the new roads as well that comes in from different states. Obviously, it connects a few roads. Idaho being surrounded by quite a few different states there on the side. So yeah, Idaho will be releasing today at 6 p.m. That's in European time, so 5 p.m. UK time. Actually, there is on our blog. If you head over to blog.scssoft.com, you can find the whole blog there explaining what's going to be happening and the times as well. So it's 9 a.m. PDT
Are we live? Perfect.
Okay, looks like we are back.
We're back.
Live, guys. Sorry for this issue.
Apologies.
It happens, unfortunately, but we are back. Hopefully the audio is sorted for you guys now.
It is.
Thank you very much for your patience.
Let us know if anything is still wrong.
Sounds good. All right. Well, what we'll do, we'll dive right back to it. If you just joined us, welcome. We're here for the Idaho release stream. We had a few little technical issues that we're just sorting out, so it's good to be back with you.
Yep.
I'm joined in the studio by Nimiro, who's below me, and also Mrazek, who are live
once
from
again
Prague in the SES studio, and I'm coming to you live from London at this time. But we're all very much the same, excited for Idaho, as we can see Nimiro driving through right now a beautiful sunset. The time has changed very quickly.
Romantic.
Very romantic indeed. We just touched a little bit about kind of the inside knowledge about how long Idaho took and the amount of people that were working on it. And we're just going to carry on that conversation from there. So another question that kind of comes to mind is that what was the development structure? You know, that it begins kind of with the research and then goes to the basic out. Kind of, can you give us an insight on how that works for you guys?
Absolutely. As I've mentioned before, we went into apocalypse mode where all the microphones stopped working. We go from through a lot of steps along the way. Actually, as you've mentioned, we start with. Actually, there's a little pre-step as well. First, we gotta decide what we're gonna do next. Like. You know, when you finish one DLC, we got to decide what happens next. So that usually happens with the talks with management, you know, with Pavel, who you know, and several other people. We're basically deciding what makes sense, what would make the community most happy, and all that stuff. After we do that, basically the content that we're going to focus on goes into pre-production mode. Like we do research, we gather information from some close communities, and basically try to absorb as much information as possible. Now, after me, we have Raven coming on, who's actually part of the research department. So I'm not going to talk too much about research, but what I can say is that his team and the entire department gathers so much information, it's absolutely insane. We have data on almost everything, all the industries, the nature, the landmarks, the traffic rules, the cities, the little towns, like local traffic rules, etc. There's a lot of attention that is being paid to the research, which actually in the end can translate into, I'm going to mention one thing, which can actually translate into, for example, in Idaho, we took our time and research and put resources into recreating the traffic lights in certain cities, basically one-to-one. Because until now, we almost only had like one set of traffic lights. Now in several cities, you can find differently colored and shaped traffic lights based on real references. So that's one of the fruits that the research labor brings, basically.
Great, and I love it. And we've seen it before where we have those huge sheets of the research stuff, and I think I'm going to echo your words. It's fantastic what the research do. They kind of do miracles out there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to continue on the basically on the timeline what we do. Once the research team is basically done, we go through several discussions where we talk about stuff like economy, the amount of cities that we're going to introduce, what roads should we include, and we do all this like basically the backbone of the project, because based on what we do in this phase kind of decides how long the project is going to take, how many people are going to have to work on it, what are the new features that are going to come, that are going to you know, make it into the DLC, etc., etc. So that's like the pre-production phase where it all begins. Then we obviously, with the map design team, I'm going to talk from our perspective, where we actually work on the map and implement all the good stuff. We start doing like early iteration layouts. So we start with the cities, we lay out the cities, find out if the scale is correct, if maybe we have too little cities, if we have too many cities. Because what many people don't realize when you maybe look at the size of Idaho in real life, and you tell people, oh, we're going to only, or we're going to do like 10 or 11 cities in total. We're working with a very compressed scale. The scale is 1 to 20, and we have to cut corners somewhere. And while we would be able to physically fit in more cities, we would be cutting out on a lot of the extra content, such as back roads, forests, mountains, that people love as well. And we do not want to make ATS into like a city driving simulator. We gotta capture the whole state at the scale we have. So that's what we do in this early stage. We basically lay out the cities, the roads, figure out if the scale is making sense, if we can fit in all the interesting places and landmarks and everything that the research team has prepared for us. At that time, we also do tests for economy, for example, because if you start driving in Idaho, you gotta have jobs to take and goods to deliver. So you cannot have the same depot in every city. So we go for the local industries, local economy, figure out what is most important for that given region, and basically map out our depots and all this good stuff in terms of economy at this stage. Then we have the team of map designers actually get into the map itself, and they start doing more advanced layouts, more advanced iterations, shaping out the certain landmarks into more detail, and slowly working their way across the entire map, trying to basically shape out the world so that if you take a look at it, it kind of makes sense and you know where everything is going to be. So at that time, or at that point in time, you should be able to look at the map and be like, okay, this is this city. Oh, I can recognize this region. I know this is going to be this mountain, etc., etc. And with mutual discussions with our art department, we figure out all the assets that we need, maybe new vegetation, maybe new terrain materials. We need some specific prefabs for like our road systems. That happens more often than not, that you come up you find like some weird traffic situation that we cannot grasp with our current set of prefabs. So we go along, have a discussion, figure out what we're gonna do, and they create the assets for us. We implement it, test it, polish it, and this basically happens through the majority of the project. We could say until the last hours before the DLC gets released. So even like today or yesterday, work on Idaho is still being done. We're still polishing it. We want to bring you the best content as we can. So it's a lengthy process. I most definitely skipped a lot of things, but I hope this gives people a little bit of an idea of what we actually go through and how the map design work goes along.
Wow, I actually did not realize myself that it goes right up to almost the very last few hours where things are still being a little bit changed and stuff. So I imagine the team is still kind of behind the screens working hard, but hopefully they'll get a bit of time to relax soon when you do get to release it, which is all very exciting. And also going back as well on, you're talking about how, you got to work around the map size, and Idaho is just such a bit of a crazy but interesting shaped state because it really, kind of bottlenecks at the top. Previously we've worked with kind of nicer shaped states where they're wide or they're square a bit,
They were more symmetric,
shapes. Absolutely, yeah. So I imagine this one was a bit more of a difficult challenge for you guys when it came to really getting into that northern panhandle part.
Yep, most definitely. Like from the very start, we didn't know how we want to grasp the entire state. Because as you've said, the shape is kind of awkward. It's kind of wide at the bottom and it narrows up and goes like towards Washington. And like at the top, you only got like Sandpoint and Coeur d'Alene, which are in this very narrow piece of space. And we are figuring out what we want to do. Like in the very first iteration, the very first idea was that we're only going to do basically like a little connection between Oregon and Utah. And we're kind of going to skip the northern part for the time being, and then it kind of gradually grew into, hey, why not just make it a full size map? Because doing things like partially is not the way we do things. We want to do things properly. We want to give people good products at good quality, and we were like, no, it's not enough. Like doing just part of the state, and we wanted to do the state justice because, as I've mentioned before, the state is absolutely gorgeous. It's very varied. You got at the southern part, it's like very dry, deserty. You got a completely different feel from the northern part. It's like probably the most vivid state in terms of biomes that we had the chance of representing until now. And from some reactions I've seen, we were able to capture that feel properly. So it's really good to hear. I hope people out there in the public will enjoy it as well.
Absolutely, I'm sure they will, as many more will get the chance to explore it for themselves come 6 o'clock this evening European time as we release it. And like you said, I had also a little bit of a chance to drive through it as well through the pre-release stuff. And just like you said, the landscape is so varied, you know, when you depending on even which way you're coming into Idaho, because there's quite a few states that surround it. You know, whether you're coming through Nevada, it's very dry, like you said, or if you come up from Washington, it's very green. And I imagine that must have been quite tricky as well, trying to get those just right, you know, when you're kind of transitioning through different biomes to say. So would you say that was like one of the most tricky or challenging parts of the development, or would you say there's something even more challenging that we hadn't heard about yet?
That's a very good but difficult question. Everything that was like hard or difficult or challenging, there were a lot of things along the way. Now, obviously, this was one of the things, connecting to basically 4 states, because we had to connect to Washington, Oregon, Nevada, and Utah. So those are like 4 connections that we had to make. And as you've mentioned, all of them are a little different. Plus, for example, Nevada is one of our older pieces of content. So we had to make the transfer from the old content gradual. It cannot be just a cut, because currently we have different technologies, different assets. We have many more possibilities than we had in Nevada. And we wanted to make the transition as seamless as possible, which I think worked out really well. And when you're transferring from Nevada to Idaho, it's very natural. Same from Utah or Washington. You would expect that you would kind of like see a point where, oh, this is where like the old content is, and here's the point where the new content is. I think we did a really good job at like transferring or blending these different DLCs and states together. Now, in terms of difficulty, there's one thing that we didn't talk about yet that was released quite recently on our blog post, and that's the implementation of the new feature that we're bringing with Idaho, which is the Viewpoint feature. Now, we had a blog post focused on it, but I think we could do it justice by talking about it for a few minutes.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, as you're seeing now, for example, on the stream, as Namiro is driving, we spend a lot of time on what we call micro detail, which is basically making the world feel alive, putting a lot of effort into, you know, close detail when the player stops and looks around, so that he has always something to look at and check out. Now, it comes from the nature of the game, but a lot of people tend to kind of skip that. You just kind of drive through the scenery at 60 miles an hour, and you do not really have much time to absorb the scenery or the amount of work that was put into the DLC or the map itself. What the Viewpoint feature does is allows us to show people a new perspective on the world they're driving through. Starting with Idaho, and we are going to implement it retrospectively in time, so you can look forward to viewpoints in older content as well, just not right now, just a disclaimer. We're going to update the older content as well. You basically come up to a piece of to a place on the map, you stop your engine, and it plays like a 1-minute cutscene where it shows it to you from all kinds of different angles and perspectives. Now, why I'm bringing this up is that you mentioned the difficult tasks. This is something we have never done before. This idea has been here for a long time. Like even Pavel, the CEO, said that he remembers talking about it like many, many years ago or many moons ago, and that nobody ever never really went through with it. And I'm really proud we were able to, you know, do it from like pre-production to its current state in about half a year. Now, for us as map designers, this was especially a challenge because we're focused on like world creation, on world composition. We take care of the cities, the roads, the landscapes, landmarks. Now, when we actually got to design and implement like the camera feature that kind of shows you around, well, we figured out that we're not really movie directors, and we had to spend quite a lot of time teaching ourselves how to work with cameras, how to work with cuts, how to do the pacing, work with angles, work with camera speeds, and all that good stuff. So it was a pretty difficult learning process for the entire map design team, because in the end, all these viewpoints or cutscenes, we call them viewpoints, have been made by map designers, by the same people that created the spot, because they know it the best, obviously. So we gave our map designers the tools to do it. We had a lot of talks with our video maker, who's sitting in the production booth right now, who takes care of our trailers, etc., to have like consultations in terms of the camera work and how to work with the pacing and all the stuff that I said. So it was a learning process, but I gotta commend the people that worked on Idaho from the map design perspective, because everybody grasped it with such joy, and they were excited to have this new feature, because they were kind of on the same idea. They want to show their best work, and they know all the good angles, and I'm really glad we were able to bring it with Idaho right now. Now, we want to iterate on it a little more. Well, by a little, I mean quite a lot. In the future, we want to bring a lot more features into it. But for now, we keep it as it is. And actually, we would really appreciate if, when you guys get your hands on it, if you could write us like on our social media or forums, give us a feedback if you like it, if we should iterate on it more, if it breaks your immersion, whatever. We really want to tailor the feature towards you, because you're the players, you're the community, and we may have the best intentions, but sometimes you miss even the best intentions, and they end up not being good. So we have a lot of plans for it. We want to expand it with a lot of stuff that we've already gathered info about. But for now, we're keeping it as it is. And please do let us know how you feel about the feature. I, for one, feel it's amazing. I really like it.
In a moment, at some of them.
Yeah, we're actually, Namiro is coming up to one of them that you were able to see on our blog spot.
Yeah. Perfect
and,
timing.
Yeah, perfect timing. So you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And like one of the things that we want to work on in the future, or bring in an update, is bring some trivia information, because for now you only basically get basic information, what you're looking at. But most of these places have certain history. They might have a cultural impact. They're known for something. We want to put that information in as well, and we want to be like we want to have it as an educational element in the game. You know, since you're already driving in Idaho, you might as well learn something about it. And I think the viewpoints are a great tool for that. So that's what we want to iterate on. So hopefully we'll be able to bring that within maybe the next update or so. We'll start working on it, and we know I already have a backlog of basically wish lists about the feature that people want to see in the game. So Namiro can go ahead and show you guys if you have not seen yet. It's just a little icon on the map. You turn off your engine, and hopefully the viewpoint will play. Now this is a little town of McCall, which is not very big, but from the feedback that we've got from the community, is represented really well, and it gives you like this little overview of the main like landmarks and spots in the town. And now it shows you like the big lake. You can see the downtown of it. Obviously the traffic keeps on going.
There's
and,
a woman taking a picture.
There's some people in there as well. It kind of gives you a little overview of what you're basically of where you basically are. Now we have implemented 10 of these viewpoints.
I see it actually doesn't stop the world, right? Because the AI was still moving.
Yeah, the world keeps going on.
Good,
so the world lives on. So AI keeps going on. The people move on. The time goes on. So obviously, if you're on a tight schedule with your delivery, you probably don't want to stop and go look at a viewpoint. But if you're like exploring, if you're into looking around and finding all the little details, I think this is a feature you will love. We wanted to promote exploration with this feature, and I think that's exactly what it does. So hopefully you guys will love it. There are 10 of these viewpoints in Idaho on release, and we'll be expanding on it a lot more in the future if you guys like it. So let us know. So yeah, that was I think one of the hardest parts, that apart from the quarantine because of COVID, that we had to tackle.
Don't
obviously.
say anything, Alex. That was a perfect escape of the gas station. I've heard
Commentating
that
on
you
the driving.
about it, like
He just wants the opportunity to brag.
yeah, that was perfect, man.
But honestly, I mean, I'm glad that you brought it up, because viewpoints are really, really cool. I had a chance to drive with it though, and I'm already seeing a lot of people in the chats on the Twitch and the Steam as well saying people really like it. They want to see the feature more in not only the American truck but in your truck. Like Jacob said, that please leave your feedback with us. We do want to hear from you about it, and let us know how much you're enjoying it as well. And I had a chance to try it myself as well, and it's funny that you mentioned that the world lives on, as you know, that it keeps moving as you go into those waypoints. Because I actually went up to, I think one of them was in a login area, and it's up on a bit of a hill. I went to stop my engine. I didn't put my handbrake down, so as I was going through the things, I just see my truck rolling down the hill, and I'm like, oh no! So make sure you all
that's a disclaimer.
Yeah, so make sure you're all parked up. But honestly, it was really cool to kind of have like almost like a drone, bird's eye view kind of look around all these different areas, and really highlights the hard work that our map designers do put in. It's a chance to kind of appreciate the little things and the little details that, like you said, you might not see while you're driving. So my personal opinion, maybe it's a little bit biased, but my personal opinion, I think it's a fantastic feature, and I hope you all really like it as well. So no, thank you for that insight for that. That is really,
my
really
pleasure.
Cool.
I'm really proud of it. And like I said, the team that grasped it with so much joy and energy, I was actually surprised that so many people were like into making these little viewpoints, and they ended up suggesting making even more, but I actually had to calm people down that we're kind of just trying to figure out if people like it, if it's fine. We didn't want to overdo it at that point, so you can look forward to many more if the feedback is good.
Well, I hope so. I really do hope so. And speaking of kind of like those little highlights where you're kind of going through and seeing all the different landmarks and stuff, do you have a favorite town or maybe even a favorite landmark within Idaho that you could share with us? Do you have kind of like a little something that's close to your heart, you know?
Close to my heart, probably not, but you might have just noticed we've passed the 45th parallel, which is a place in the world where you're basically halfway between the North Pole and the equator. So
really?
There was a little sign that you could have seen on the roadside, and I think that's a pretty cool thing that we've got in there.
I love the rocks, man.
Yeah, you like rocks?
Yeah.
You came here to play with rocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm enjoying the driving so much that I'm just silently driving, basically. I'm just like absorbing, enjoying the view. It's brilliant. It's beautiful.
Glad to hear that. Now, one of the other things that we worked on quite substantially is now I'm going to get into stereotypes right now. But when you think of Idaho, a lot of people think of potatoes, obviously. As you've mentioned, this stream is going to be spectacular.
Hey.
Yeah, those jokes, man.
Bad puns. Anyway, we had quite a lot of work and extensive research gone into potato farms and potato productions. And as you may have seen from some marketing content that we've already released, you'll be able to visit potato farms where the potato production is in full sweep or full swing, whatever the term is. And you'll be able to get in really close into seeing how the potatoes are being processed and stored in the storages, while also delivering to and from these farms. That's one of actually many things that we have gone ahead and implemented. We also went kind of back in time, if you will, and we have redesigned and remade a lot of the older prefabs or older depots that we've had in the game, like certain warehouses or stores that people were kind of already tired of seeing again and again. So we went back and redesigned some of those and upped the quality and technical precision that they are done with. They blend in with the environment a lot better. They're much more detailed, much more beautiful. So we kind of grasped Idaho as time for improvements. There's like, I guess, nothing too revolutionary apart from the Viewpoint feature, but we kind of wanted to do things right and do things well. So even the road systems and everything was paid special attention to. You should have seamless experience in Idaho, basically in every corner that you visit and see.
Fantastic. I'm sure people are going to get very excited and kind of getting up close and personal with Idaho, getting to know Idaho. And I
Just
love that
over
you
2 hours.
Yeah, with the potatoes as well, you can get right up close to kind of, you know, the work and the industry that's surrounding you in that state. And we all know that Idaho has a lot of potatoes, so I'm sure you will seeing plenty of work going on around those farms.
I've seen plenty of
which make
potatoes.
people alive, you know, so which is fantastic to see. And I think people will, like you said, really appreciate those micro details. I've already seen, again, a lot of comments in the chat from lots of our fantastic users who are joining us from around the world, just saying they're so impressed with the details. So it's really great to see the feedback already rolling
Glad
in
to hear that.
from them as well. And speaking of the community, obviously they play a massive role in the way things are here at the SCS. We love to listen to them, hear their feedback, ask for their opinions and such. What do you think the community will like most? Do you think it will be the Viewpoint feature, or do you think it will just be some of the smaller details, or what do you think they will enjoy most in Idaho?
Rocks, definitely rocks.
The rocks aren't as much of a prime time for Idaho. That's kind of a tough question. One of the things that I was thinking about recently is how proud I am of the consistency of the entire state. Like, everywhere you go, there is something interesting or beautiful to see or do, or visit the viewpoints and interesting cities with rich history and detail. And I'd say there's very little to none like deaf spots, if DEAF, not where you would be like, oh, this is kind of not up to the standard. So I'm really proud of what we were able to achieve within the given time frame. The quality of the map is, I think, incredibly balanced, and everywhere is something beautiful to see and visit. I don't know what what I would point out concretely that people should look forward to. I'm gonna toot my own horn and say everything. The entire state is great. I think, like I said at the beginning, a lot of people, from what we have learned, do not perceive Idaho as like a very interesting state, or like the mentality around the state is kind of like, oh, it's a small state, there's not much to do or see. It's quite the contrary, and I think you'll be able to learn that pretty soon yourself. And one of the points why we decided to do Idaho, and I think one of the major reasons why people are going to love it, is it creates kind of a connection with the rest of the world. As I've said, it connects actually 4 states: Nevada, Utah, Washington, Oregon. So it kind of creates a complete package, and you'll be able to drive more seamlessly. You can take different routes going from Washington to New Mexico, etc., etc. So you have a lot more variety in roads and transitions, or where you want to take if you want to drive through the mountains, or do you want to drive down through the south. It's all up to you. It gives you a lot more diversity in your travels, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that was quite evident when I was driving through it, just the amount of kind of places you can enter from or travel through or kind of divert to. You can kind of go out and then back in, or just go through Idaho, or even just stay in the state itself.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to really like that as well. I'm looking forward to what everyone thinks about it. We've got lots of people in the chat who are chucking in all their opinions as well, and lots of people saying they're really, really looking forward to exploring it for themselves, which also, just as a quick reminder as well, we do have the Cruising Idaho World of Trucks event that will be starting as well, which will reward you for your travels throughout Idaho as well. So you get all the more reason to kind of check out Idaho as well.
Definitely check the event out. I think the rewards for it are awesome. Like, I was surprised myself how cool the rewards are. So definitely do check it out if you're grabbing Idaho early. I think there's nothing stopping you from doing the event as well. I think the rewards are really cool. I love them myself.
Absolutely. You can find out all the details for that at our blog post is at blog.scssoft.com. The event will be going live after the release of Idaho. It does require the Idaho DLC to take part in, of course, being a cruising Idaho event. But we don't have too much longer left with you. So with that kind of 5-10 minutes that we have left, it does fly when we're having fun. Is there anything that you really wanted to touch on, that you wanted to talk with the community with, or did you want to try and take some questions, or what do you want to do at this part?
I kind of relate the main message that I wanted to. I'm really proud of the Viewpoint feature and that we were able to kick things out. I really want to make sure that we conform, I don't know if that's the right word, to the community and design or finalize the feature towards their liking. I know not everybody is going to love it, but hopefully majority of you guys are. And I don't know if there's anything else to add that hasn't been said. There's obviously a lot that I'm skipping, but I don't want to spoil everything from the DLC, because if I talked about every single little piece of what we have done during the last year or so, that kind of spoils the surprise. So I'm not going to say about everything we've implemented, about everything cool that you can find out. There's obviously a lot of small Easter eggs that you can search around for. We've got some interesting achievements as well. So I hope people will, in general, enjoy the complete package and the entire state as it is.
Absolutely. I'm sure they will. I mean, like you said, not long until we hit that 2-hour mark until we get to release it. You must be very proud of your team for kind of getting to this point. And obviously it's not easy when you're kind of, like you said at the start, kind of working on multiple projects, especially that we do have another DLC for America in the pipeline. And so I imagine that transition and everything is going to happen all over again. So it's kind of non-stop for you guys at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. As you've just mentioned, and as we've talked before, the production machine is going. We basically never stop. We have little pauses here and there, but there's always something cooking. Everybody's excited to bring new stuff and new content into the game. And I think the community in the end actually only profits from that. We're bringing a lot of new content. Like for example, recently Las Vegas was reworked. We've updated some of the older content. We've changed all the gas stations across the entire map to be the proper format. So we do things to upkeep older parts of the map as well. And I think it shows. That's something we kind of fight for. We want to put enough time into upkeeping older content as well, because you want to have the entire map or the entire world to a certain quality and standard level. So you should not keep the older parts of the map just laying around. So we're making sure that we keep updating the older content as well. We've added a road to Utah and I think Arizona, was it? Not sure right now. Connecting road. That's also new in the new 138 update. And yeah, I hope people appreciate that.
Yeah, we got Dave_Reed in the Twitch chat saying he really likes those truck stop designs. They're really, really awesome. I have to agree with that as well. Obviously, the little changes like that make the biggest of difference. Like you're saying, the micro details. I think the biggest, obviously, changes with the truck stop designs is that you're now fueling up from both sides. You have those multiple fuel points.
Right.
And also the guidance to bring you out as well, which is really nice and handy for drivers like me who maybe aren't so good with American long trucks with a big nose and maybe scope the side of a few barriers as we drive along. So I'm definitely appreciative of those little details. That's for sure.
I'm glad.
So
yeah, those are also fruits of labor of our research department. So Raven, who's coming after me, is going to talk a lot more about their work and their involvement in Idaho. So I don't want to take too much of his information. So he'll tell you more.
Well, and he will be coming up in actually a few minutes. I'm not sure if he's there just yet, but I know we have to make the...
I can see him. He's very nervous.
He's very nervous. I'm sure he'll do...
He's walking forwards and backwards. He's getting nervous.
Yeah.
He'll be on with us in a few minutes as well. We got people in the chat. Hickabilly here saying the dude driver looks so serious. I'm sure Nimmo is just concentrating. A lot of nerves.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying
you can see it live.
Like,
yeah, Idaho is so stunning that you won't be able to talk while driving. Like, how much of an advertisement do you need? Like,
yeah,
exactly. Chucker Chris 31 saying, "Map,
where can I buy it?
An amazing job.
Where can I get it?"
or just having a little fun here. I'm glad it's so relaxed and laid back.
That's it. I mean, it's great that you're able to kind of share an insight with us, and we thank you for taking your time out as well, because of course today is still a very busy day, I imagine, for you and your team.
Oh yeah.
And obviously a lot more in the future. So we really do appreciate you having you on the stream.
It's my pleasure.
Taking
I
your
love
time
coming
out
here.
to come with us and to talk to the community as well. I've seen lots of good comments from the Twitch and Steam chat saying they really enjoyed kind of hearing more about it. And I'm sure there'll be plenty more opportunities in the future. I'm sure we'll have you on stream
Absolutely.
again.
Yeah.
Maybe even a blog or two as well about more of the insight, kind of under the hood, kind of more in-depth blog stuff as well. So
we could do that.
Yeah, I'm sure you won't be a stranger to us at all. So if you haven't got anything else to say, I think we could transition over to our next guest. I'm not sure how this part works really, if it's just kind of you step out, or if
oh yeah, I'm gonna step out in a minute, and we're kind of gonna do like a hot swap,
bomb and battering out.
Hot swap of the guests. Now, I really sincerely hope that you guys enjoy our newest DLC. We really put our hearts and souls into it. A lot of research was done, a lot of hours were worked on it. I know these are hard times for many of you, mainly because of the pandemic or, global situation and how things are going out. I hope maybe this can bring a little happiness and calmness into your lives, so you can enjoy a little peace and quiet. Put on the radio, just cruise through some new content, chill out for some time, because in the end, that's, at least to me, what our game is mainly about. Bringing you experiences that you would never maybe be able to experience yourself, driving around the American states. And I'm really happy to be able to deliver you this opportunity to visit Idaho in our newest DLC. So I think with that, I'm gonna swap my position with our research department lead, Raven, who you might know already. So with this, have a good one, everyone. Enjoy, and I'm signing out.
All right, we'll definitely see you on the stream a little bit later on for the big red button push. Hopefully you'll be there on the
Absolutely.
forefront.
Absolutely. Okay.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here with us.
My pleasure. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So we're going to be switching over now to Raven, as Jacob just mentioned there, who will be talking more from the research side of things. If you're just joining us, welcome. It's good to be along with you, coming to you live from not only London, but also the SES studios. Down below me, we have Namiro doing a great job of driving. You're keeping up the good work, man.
Have you been watching? No.
I've been watching,
scratches,
man.
No scratches.
I've got a
man.
big screen right here just for you.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, this is the Idaho release stream. Idaho releases today for American Truck Simulator at 6 p.m. European time. You can find all of the worldwide times over at our blog, blog.scsoft.com, and we've got a few special guests. You've just missed one of them. Don't worry, we will have a replay of this. You can watch it on Twitch again afterwards. But we will have Raven joining us very shortly.
Raven is coming.
He's coming
approaching one of the biggest factory implemented or recreated or captured in the DLC. Like, look at this big
amazing
monster area.
Absolutely love it. And we will also be joined by our CEO Pavel Shabor a little bit later on as well, so make sure you save your questions up for him. I'm sure he'll be answering a few of those, so do not go anywhere. And just a reminder as well,
give you our research team lead, Raven.
He is here. He is with
Hello.
Applause. Drums. Give me drums.
I was just hitchhiking and I met Namiro, so I'm here.
Picked you up along the way. Where are you heading to? Where do you want to go?
Where are we going?
We are basically in Lewiston, in I would say it's a paper factory that made paper. But I think we are going to get screamed because we are arriving quite late. But
didn't you say that you are a good driver?
Yeah, I am, but it was because of we take a little nap at the truck stop because I didn't want to be showing driving during night, So yeah, here we are.
Okay, fair enough.
Good stuff.
With no
Good
scratches.
stuff. Well, Raven, it's good to have you here with us again on the stream. You're no stranger to the stream. You've been here before. How are you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm a bit nervous, but yeah, so far so good. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. You know, we're kicking it and chilling over here in London. I will be back at the studio soon. Don't worry. I will be making my way back very soon to the
Cool.
SES studios. But other than that, doing well. Very excited for the release of Idaho. Of course, releasing today at 6 p.m. your time. It's gonna be a bit of a party for you guys as well. So I hope you're excited for that. And of course, we've got all our wonderful people in the chat from all over the world, from America to Asia. It's good to see everybody in the chat. We've got lots of people here, lots of familiar names as well. And maybe for those who have never seen you before, maybe it's their first time watching, maybe if you'd like to introduce yourself to the community.
Well, I'm Raven. I'm from the research department, and my current position is kind of team lead. That's what I do. And the role, I've been here since the beginning of the research department, which was which is now 2.5 years. So yeah.
So you're celebrating an anniversary recently.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of 2.5 years. 2.5 years. That's still a considerable amount of time. A lot of things that have happened in that time. What kind of some of the past projects that you've worked on mainly when you've been at SES?
I can't tell.
Can't tell.
It's top secret, but
Top secret. Okay. We'll keep it a secret for the future then. But that's okay, no problem. But yeah, good to have you back on the stream, and I hope you are all doing well. So let's get into things a little bit. Idaho, it's an exciting day, and you and your team have kind of had a big role to play with this. As Jacob was kind of explaining to us earlier, you're almost the first forefront of the whole start of the project, as we're kind of going through a bit of a timeline of how development works and where it starts and where it ends and kind of what happens in between. He kind of gave us a bit of a brief outline, but he was mentioning that he didn't want to ruin too much of your story, because you are the very first kind of people that kind of gets involved in the projects and starts compiling stuff. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the research department, maybe your role on the DLC, and kind of how it all kind of starts for you guys. Where do you begin? Who tells you to start working on something certain?
So funny thing is, I believe Utah was released 8 months ago, something like that.
Gee, time
So that time we were just behind Idaho already at the time. So we are like the first soldiers, the first line, and it's pretty much it's like big gap. We are in front of the rest of people in a company. So right now we are working on another 3 DLCs, I could say.
Wow, dang.
And yeah, so
Okay.
For me it's like ages when we started Idaho, but I could say that Idaho was first proper research we've done, because in Washington it was like before we released Washington, we were new department and we were just helping to the 3D asset department. So that was what we are doing that time. With Utah, our position was a little bit different, because we started to do something more with economy, so we could suggest things. And
Oh
with
man.
What's that?
These are triples.
So are you gonna try reversing?
Oh, okay. I think we won't be able to show anything else from Idaho, because for the rest of the stream I'm gonna struggle with this monster. Oh my god, no.
Okay.
Okay. Keep talking guys, let me to my torture.
Okay, don't watch him, listen to me.
Yeah.
What did I say? Yeah, we were in Idaho. So Idaho was started with 4 people that time, and it was done step by step. We were, how to say it, putting layers. First one, it's usually we have the LC lead. He has some idea what's the state he works on, so he give us some basic layout. Then we check maps, Wikipedia. In Idaho, that was first time when we used our community, because we have pre-research ideas on our forum. There was a lot of very useful tips, or how to say it, suggestions. That's the word. And yeah, then we stack all the layers, and then we give it back to lead designer, DLC lead, and then we are picking things. Okay, this one could be there. This one is a silly idea, but sometimes silly idea is good idea. Sometimes it gets there. So yeah, it's like this. It's like pancakes.
I guess that's one way of putting it. And I remember we've seen it in the past. You have showcased it on other streams before. Maybe for those that don't know, I mean, the amount of depth that you go into when you research things is absolutely incredible. I think we've shown it. I think it was last time on Washington, right, where we actually showed a page of the research that was created, and you know, there was just one section for each item, and I'm just trying to put it in the perspective of people that maybe never saw it before. But for example, you might have been asked to look at a type of, I don't know, a type of building or type of traffic light or type of tree or something along those lines, and you would literally have pages and pages and pages and pages, and just like this infinite scroll that you can just keep scrolling and see more and more and more. You know, I can't even fathom the amount of research that you do on these objects. I mean, how can we best put that into scale for the community? What's the best way to explain that to them?
Let's say just generic research could take 5 to 6 months for one person. So just imagine for next 6 months you will go to work and you will be clicking Google Street Views and checking all the generic stuff. Generic, it's meant trees, signs, architecture, all the generic things you usually see. You don't, how to say it, actually, when you are in real life, you don't think about these things, but from point of view, you have different benches in the street. If I use as an example Prague, then in Ostrava or another Czech cities. So each city has some special architecture, we could say. Sometimes there was born some architect, so this you can see it on the face of each city. So there are differences like this. Usually people, they don't care about it. Even me, I don't. You know, you are somewhere and you just see things, they look so random, so you don't care. But for us, that's the thing. When we know what are lamps in a Sandpoint or traffic lights, and someone from Sandpoint will recognize them. Wow, we have special traffic lights, and it's our city, and they've done it exactly the shape and everything. So that's what we would like to have in the game, as much as we can.
Rewarding.
Yeah.
I remember Jacob saying that it was focusing a lot on the micro details, and I imagine
Exactly.
that's something that comes exactly to kind of what you guys do. You're looking at kind of every little nook and cranny, as they would say. Like you said, you might just pass over something like a trash can. But what's the design of that trash can? Has it got a logo on the trash can? Has it got any sort of emblem on it, or is there certain designs that a town has? And it's just things that I think we could easily say that we take advantage of every day, that we just don't think about it. It's just
Sometimes we have to
doesn't
think
matter.
if it's a trash can or if it's like a flower pot,
Driving a train.
because yeah, each city has something special. So there are these micro details. Probably most of the players, they don't recognize them, but the game is when we build the game or when we are creating. That's what map designers do. They think as, wow, I'm from Idaho. This is my country, and if I recognize many things, that's the point. You know, if it's some random houses, benches, or whatever, wrong trees and stuff like that, it's not the exact thing. But if we have some micro detail and people from that place are able to appreciate it, that's very rewarding for us.
But it's almost like you kind of have to wait a while till you realize that you've done something right, because until it translates into the game, like we're seeing now on the stream, you could probably pick up on a few things that maybe you have researched or team has researched, and you're saying that you're working so far ahead. I imagine it takes for a while for those fruits to grow and for you to actually see kind of the reward for your labor, and it must be a little bit annoying sometimes, I imagine, because of that reason, you know, working so far ahead.
Yeah, so that's exactly actually when I see the things now, it looks awesome. to me, it's like a child I haven't seen for ages, if I say it this way. It's a bit weird, but when I see it, I remember. So, but probably the reason why I'm here and talking about stuff is because we are kind of, how to say it, bottleneck, because all the information for map designers, for 2D asset makers, 3D asset makers, vegetable department, which deals with trees and rocks, and of course vehicle department, everything now go through us. So we should be able to know these things.
Yeah, and I imagine that can almost feel like a bit of pressure on you to kind of constantly always trying to find something new and different things about and other things. And I can imagine you probably maybe have some days where it's actually quite difficult for you to find information on certain things. Was there anything that maybe you found difficult within Idaho that was really obscure maybe, or very difficult to research, or maybe you can't tell us? I'm not too sure. I know there's some stories that are like that, but was there anything that you can maybe remember from that time past?
Potatoes? No, not really. We don't have problems like this because we know everything. No,
everything.
Oh, that was a joke.
Great.
Actually, I don't remember right now. Usually the biggest problem is because one of the main sources are Google Street Views. So sometimes when there is a bit outdated Google Street View, like from 2008-9, basically you can't see things.
Yeah, that can be a problem.
You don't recognize if it's a tree or if it's some weird stain on the background or what is it. And sometimes when you get back after they updated the map, you can see, wow, it's such a nice landmark, but yeah, old Street View is old Street View.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a very difficult part of your job, and almost going through the endless Googling of images and references and such like that. But let's take it back a little. Let's take it back to a bit more simpler things. How would you say on a day-to-day basis, what does your usual day look like at SES?
If I skip that I'm team lead now, which has some, how to say it, like I have to do some administration, like people are taking holidays sometimes and stuff like that. So my position is basically the same. If I can, I do some research as well. Of course, I can't have like 2 months long research in a row, because I sometimes go for meetings and stuff like that, and I have to deal with more things. So usually I can do some smaller task. But we have in ATS we have 3.5 another researchers, half because we have one guy, he's on internship here.
I was gonna ask,
gotcha.
what's the half? Who's half?
No,
I did wonder what was happening. I was like,
no, that wasn't a joke. So yeah, they are full professionals, and they deal with big tasks and with big tasks, and I do the small ones, some ad hocs, and the rest of research is about communication. You have to communicate a lot. In the beginning, it was like someone wanted something. He just asked us, can you find me details of, I don't know, this paper mill? So we checked it. Hey, here you go. But now we bring the ideas, because when we are a step ahead, we know about the economy of the state. So now it's, hey guys, look at this kind of industry. It's interesting, and then we have to check it with DLC lead, with the guy who's behind the economy in the game. Of course, sometimes people from game design, and then it's like, okay, how difficult it's gonna be, how much time it's gonna take, and if we have enough references. So another part of it is like we recommend some new stuff. So sometimes it's like with normal or standard size DLC, we can bring like 10 big ideas for economy, and then of course we can't put all into the game. So it's like, okay, we can use 3 of them or something, because there is behind the economy there is some logic and there are some limitations which are very difficult. Sometimes I don't know what the issue is, but it's not so easy just to point at some industry and say like, wow, that looks cool, we can have it in the game.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of logic behind and many things. So, and when you are looking from outside, you just say, wow, it's easy, just put it there, but no.
It's never as simple as that, is it? It's never
Yeah, exactly. Because if
imagine it can be quite
it's simple, it's already in the game. So
That is true, and I can only imagine that when you're doing these things, they can be a bit frustrating sometimes if you're trying to find out certain things or information. But I guess that can just be part of the day-to-day kind of job or role. And as you can see on stream here,
yeah, maybe I shouldn't be like showing these viewpoints features with a triple trailer, because I'm blocking police car behind me while I'm watching, enjoying the scenery here. Like,
good job from Nimro there with the triple trailers. That's a good one. So remember that when you're using viewpoints, folks. Remember that when you're using the viewpoints.
so that's my police, by the way.
So yeah, actually going on to that, because I believe some of the cities, or even is it Boise, has specific liveries or paint jobs for their police departments and fire departments, right? They have their own certain ones, and I don't know if that's just exclusive to Boise or the research for that. Do you remember much about kind of looking into more of those emergency vehicle things?
Of course, I know. Actually, police, it's one of the smaller tasks I can deal with. Actually, it's like long task, but when I have, I don't know, 2 days, I can work on it 2 days in a week, then skip it for next 2 weeks, and then get back, because there's no pressure. So yeah, Idaho, it's first state we have like unique emergency skins, especially for ambulances and for fire trucks. Because before it was only police, we used to have like 3 police cars per DLC, and the rest was a generic police car. That one you saw before, that was the generic one. But usually it's the highway police, which is pretty universal for all state. Then we have capital city, and then we have like 2 biggest cities or 1 biggest city in a row. And before it was, we've got the police cars and generic ambulances everywhere and generic fire trucks. And with Idaho, we have, I believe it's 4 police cars, 4 fire trucks, and 4 ambulances. All of them, they look completely different. When we are working on it, we just have done some facelift for the fire truck and for the ambulance as well, because it was kind of vintage that time. So yes, so this is one of the small details people usually don't recognize, I guess, but some of them do. So that's a nice example.
Yeah, it's a nice change to see. I remember when I was driving through Idaho the other day, or maybe some people have already seen it on the stream earlier on. It's kind of refreshing, it's something different that you notice, and it kind of pops out of you. Obviously, being on the road is one of the things maybe you notice more so than
yellow fire truck.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, completely different color, and it really stands out. But it makes you think about it. It makes you think about those little things that have been researched, and definitely props to the research team for kind of finding out those things. And often I imagine it can be quite hard, because sometimes you might never have the opportunity to visit these places, or you haven't been to these places, so trying to find out all those little information can be hard. But you did mention as well about the community helping out with the pre-research topic, and I've seen quite a few people in chat saying, oh, why don't you take ideas from the community? And there definitely is a platform for that. There's 100% a platform for that, and I think we've mentioned this quite a lot in previous streams, but the community do really help out on these things, don't they?
That's true. Yeah, always watching. One of first things I do every morning is just I check forum. We have different topics, and of course we know people which are active. They have some knowledges, So maybe we can get in touch with some. So when you are visible on forum, could be you.
That's it. You can find out the topics at forums.scsoft.com under either the American truck or your truck. I believe I say one's for your truck as well. I believe there is, but you can find in there the pre-research topics where you can help contribute to potential future DLCs. Now, it's not to say that these are definitely the DLCs that are happening next or anything of the say, but when the time comes and when they are working on it, I assure you the research team will be in contact and taking a look at those forums where people are contributing things from their own countries. So if you're very familiar with your own area, then it's a good place to go and help out if you're willing to do so.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky for us because if we open the topic like Colorado pre-research, people will tell us what they wish for to have in Colorado, but that time when we are opening it, we can't react like, hey guys, this is a nice idea, because it's obvious that we are working on Colorado. So of course, yeah, that's the thing. You give us really good ideas. We are watching them, but we can't react from these reasons, because unless the project is unveiled.
Yeah, been revealed.
Yeah. So that's the tricky part, because if we react there, you know exactly what we are working for, and still we want to have some surprise for you. So that's behind
that
it.
is a very hard thing indeed. And going back to kind of your day-to-day thing, you mentioned about how many team members are in the research department. It's not the biggest department, obviously, within SCS. You know, a lot of obviously the map teams and stuff are huge these days, especially as SCS continues to grow. But on a day-to-day basis, how do you kind of assign what someone needs to research? Do you yourself go, right, I'm assigning you this, or you know more about this subject? Do people kind of have specialized topics, or it's just kind of like a random, like, just take it, here you go, just everything go out at once sort of thing? How do you kind of organize that? It must be very difficult.
I wish I could do that this way, but as I mentioned, the generic research, which is basically sitting in front of Google Street Views, and you are just clicking like this for 5 months. So of course, if you have only one person doing this person will get crazy soon. So you have to give these people another task, like a little, hey, just take a rest from this one. We call it the brain dead job. Just do this one. But we have some people, they like it. Some of them less. We have some people which are pretty good in like technical thinking. So if we need to, I don't know what's a good example, but we have many, you see train in the game. For me, it's just train or American looking train, but we have people and they can talk 2 hours in a row about trains in the US because it's their hobby. Or so these kind of things. We have few people in a company. We have some people in our team, and that's like a win-win situation, because if it's their hobby, they know about this stuff. So they just, hey, we have some train there, or train is just an example, but we have I don't know, this kind of industry, and they just know it like naturally. So it's really good, because they do what they enjoy, and for us it's easy because they do it with pleasure.
Yeah, well, especially if they have the knowledge of it and they're happy to talk about their home state or country or something they're passionate about, just like you're saying, then obviously it makes it all the more easier, because you can have that face-to-face kind of conversation instead of maybe waiting for a reply, which maybe makes your lives a little bit easier, where you can kind of talk it out and kind of have a conversation about it with somebody within the company. I remember actually, for my times in the office, I've seen you a few times as we're having conversations with certain people, running up to someone to ask someone a question about a certain area, or about a sign, or about a language. And honestly, I think it was even with one of our 3D asset guys, Johnny, as well. You're talking to him about certain signs as well, and when you had a conversation, there was even things that I didn't think about, and it's really crazy to see how you look at the world in a different way, and I imagine your team does as well. You completely rethink how the game is. You don't look at it as just a trucking game. You think about the placement of the things and the research of it, and why this is here and why that is there. and hopefully that doesn't ruin the game for you too much. I don't know if you enjoy it for yourself personally, but I imagine it's a lot more interesting. You probably have a lot more insight than most people would when it comes to, for example, Nimro driving down this nighttime road. Maybe you'd remember a few certain things.
Yeah. As you mentioned that people in a company, the good thing is actually we don't have people from US here, but we have let's say you mentioned Johnny, he's from Spain, so basically now we work on Iberia. So the easy thing it's like we can Google information, but we can ask the Spanish guy sitting next to us or in another department. But that's the first things we do. First thing we usually do, because that's the easy thing. We have a lot of information, and then if we need to get deeper, we will Google or we will ask him. Or there is awesome community on our forums. We have pre-research topic for Spain. We get some information from there. So there are many options. So that's it.
That's cool. That's cool, and it's great to see the amount of ways that you can do research. It's not just kind of limited just to one area. And have you even gone as far as maybe even trying to find certain books, or is it all online now? Do you just leave everything for being online?
Of course, most of the sources are online, or we wish they will be online, because sometimes it's not even online. But a nice example is Rand McNally, like Truckers Atlas, the handbook kind of. So when there was a group in Colorado, and sometimes we go to the US, so we just bought one of these atlases, like the book, which the first idea came from community. We have some truck drivers there, and they mentioned many times like, hey guys, you should have this book because it's kind of Bible for truckers. And actually it is, because when we are starting the DLC, there is some map from DLC lead, there are information from our community, there is the internet, but one of the sources is this book, because we can check all the restrictions, limitations, the roads which are some, I don't know how to say it, it's like challenging roads. You can see there, sometimes we bend it and we use the roads where which are not used for for trucks in real life. But yeah, that's another option. That's the Atlas book.
That's very cool. I never even realized it really existed, but it's cool to know that there is kind of like a trucker's Bible out there.
Yeah, we have it.
That's
we have it.
Specific to the US, right? Is that for the whole of the US or just specific to a state?
Yeah, that's really good thing that it's for all United States. Oh, wow. And that makes things much easier. If I compare it with Europe, in Europe you have different states, different rules. Sometimes it's different languages, and sometimes it's even different, like how to say it, letters like Azbuka or these kind of issues, which is we can barely read it, you know. So
that's super interesting. So no, that's really cool to know. That's kind of like one of the very places that you can find very unique information that can't be found anywhere else. And I love to hear that. That's really cool to hear, actually. So what would you say is like probably one of the more challenging parts of your role as a researcher? Is it staying motivated on one subject, would you say? Like you're saying, it's kind of hard to kind of keep focused on some things, or is it trying to find out a certain subject? What would you say is the most challenging part?
Challenging. I remember that big terminal in Washington. It was T18 or T13. I believe it was 18. Sometimes it's you spend basically, when I was researching this terminal, I spent weeks, I could say 3 to 4 weeks, because we needed some details how it works inside. It's kind of secured area. You can't take camera, or drivers shouldn't take footages in that area. And I spent maybe 1 month searching this information, and I failed. I said like we don't have enough information, so we were trying to put bits and pieces together. And then there was Tacoma. There was another port in Tacoma, and when I was searching the Tacoma, by mistake I found what I needed for the first port or first terminal. And sometimes it's tricky because if I gave up that first terminal after 1 week, the result will be same. But I spent 4 weeks, and still there was no result. But then I was searching for something different, and by mistake I found like it's like you find gold or something, And
Wow.
and you never know when you find it. So you can give up, and basically you are just like you are just 2 steps from the gold, and you just gave up before, so it's tricky.
And I think people forget how much research is almost kind of relied upon to make sure that we have those references and stuff to put into the DLCs. It's a very, very vital role, I would say, in the creation of everything. You almost, in a way, directly influence in a sense kind of what is being seen in the small details and such like that. So I imagine you're kind of under quite a bit of pressure to make sure that you do find these things, especially when you're going to have people playing from the state. You want to impress them. You want to make sure that they're seeing the things that they see on an everyday basis, which I imagine can be incredibly hard and frustrating as well at the same time.
But that's the thing. If you have a person like, hey, the very positive thing it's if that people like the game, they know they are players and they know how the players think, what they see. Because if you take it as a task, like, hey, find me this reference, or we need detail of that one, and you just find it, and okay. But if you know that, wow, the player will drive here and he will see this and this, and this one will be cool, and that one will be cool. So if you think like player, that's good thing. And even map designers have to think like that, because you can just create some road, and okay, I've created a road, or I created a road with this detail, this one. So yeah, it's about mindset as well, I could say.
Kind of like having an eye for it, almost like you have to.
Yeah, of course, that must be combination of more things, but the first thing should be like you should know the game, and you should have some kind of passion for it. because when you don't have it, you can see people are struggling with things, and probably sometimes it's like that's the time, like, wow, you should do sometimes could be like, now I'm gonna talk about map designers, probably I shouldn't, but people are doing cities, and all the time they are doing cities, and just why not to try countryside? And they are doing countryside, and they've got like some new infusion or something like that, and
no, I understand the way that you're coming from, and it really is impressive from kind of your side of things, how it all works out, and how you guys compile so much information. I wish we had the graphics actually again that we before, where you just see.
No, I was lazy this time.
But that's all right. That's okay. We didn't have time for it. That's okay. So, what would you say the best part for you in bringing this DLC to life? Is there anything that you remember and now you see it in Idaho? You're like, it's so cool to see it. Have you had any moments like that just yet, or have you not had much of a chance to explore Idaho yet, or?
It's like when Nemiro is driving through the state, I see like familiar faces, if I say it. It's sometimes you just meet someone in public and, wow, I know this guy. So that feeling, it's like, for me, because we were researching this stuff like a couple of months ago, and we are focusing on different things now, but when I see it, I remember this one, I remember that landmark. So there's many things like that. So I remember some parts from Boise. There's I think it's Perrins Bridge in Twin Falls. There are the waterfalls, beautiful ones.
Actually, I think one thing that I saw from the community that a lot of people picked up on was there was the football stadium in Boise, and loads and loads of people were impressed that it had the blue field, which is at ground level, so you wouldn't maybe even see that too well, but that's something that you managed to pick up on. I don't know who was responsible for that, but it made a lot of people happy. But it's those little things, right?
Yeah. That's I could say that's my private opinion or personal opinion, because when I was thinking that time when we were releasing Utah, you've got like that big wow effect things. That was the biggest mine. There was, I think there was around Moab, there was something very specific. Idaho is a little bit different because we don't have like, wow, this is the big thing. But there are, when I ask 3D asset designers, they told me there's over 550 new assets in Idaho.
Wow.
So it's like, you don't have one big piece and you say, wow, that's it, and then you have nothing. There's no one other thing like that. But in Idaho, there is like 500 little pieces spread it all around, and now you have to find them, and there is so many of them. When I was listening to Jacob or Nemiro, they were looking at the footage. Cut plane? No, cut plane.
Viewpoint.
Yeah, Viewpoint. Sorry. So it's one of them. The ambulances. There's another one. So there's no new depot, but there are 6, 7, maybe 8 depots. They have completely new look.
Wow.
So
really kind of a big change in those kind of assets and things that were kind of related to Idaho.
Exactly, and the first ideas were because we were listening to community and probably, or they enjoyed the challenging roads. So we know that they like it. So probably there is some challenging road somewhere.
You have to find them, just like
yeah, exactly. The feedback from the community is, it makes things easier, because if they say what they like or what they don't like, we have like ground under the feet, and we can make decisions easier.
And have you had a chance to drive through Idaho much yourself, or not really? Have you been quite busy?
To be honest, not much. But that 3 members from our team, they were doing kind of Q&A, so definitely they checked it. Because for me, I can drive through, but I don't see that things which will see that person which was dealing with that generic stuff. Because no one was in Idaho in person, but we have here virtual traveler, which was clicking that Google Street Views. So he or she knows that feeling of the state. Because I was dealing with different things, I don't have that feeling. So if I go there and I said like, I like this one, that's not valuable for me, because people checking the Google Street Views and they know the feeling. They can say like, yeah, but I don't feel this one here. These rocks look different in real life, and I don't have opinion on this. So it's better to use people which were in Idaho.
Fair enough. Yeah. Otherwise, it gets a bit tedious. Otherwise, I guess we're trying to kind of go back and forth on what's right or what's wrong or whatever. But no, I was just gonna say that. I mean, looking now at the gameplay, Nimmo driving now through Idaho, it is beautiful, and it is a lot of detail. It is just a wonderful state, and I think maybe a lot of people will be in the same situation where they didn't really know much about Idaho at the start, or until kind of now, and they're going to get the chance to kind of go through it, and they don't really know what's kind of in the state. I always think about like, when you think of like different places in the US, you can always say some sort of landmark or building, like you got the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, or all those different places or a certain stadium. But in Idaho, when you just think of Idaho, like we said earlier, most people just think of potatoes for some reason. So they don't actually know the kind of scenery and contents of Idaho, about all the different cities and stuff. And I think it's going to be great for people to explore that for themselves. And I know that your team would have got very, very familiar with it and are probably a bit tired of it now, but I'm sure the community are really, really gonna like what they see, and I think you guys have all done a fantastic job on the research, because it's very evident. And I don't know how you guys do it, but it seems like the bar is raised every single DLC, and I think it's just going to be harder for you guys in the future to even raise it even higher.
We are trying, but of course, if the map designers, if we have bad map designers, it's not gonna look like this. So. What surprised me here was, I believe we've got probably 3 juniors, like they were, that was new blood in the company, and they've done an awesome job. I just couldn't believe that they are like freshmen, or how to say it, and so that was another part of it. It was kind of lottery, because you have new people. You don't have company where you have 50 seniors, but. We were lucky with good web designers as well. So if we don't have them, it will never look like that. So even if we do research, and we will research everything in every detail, if they don't listen to us, or they don't have the ability to recreate it into the virtual world, you know, we are useless then.
Exactly, yeah, and it's just like you were saying about communication is key, right? I imagine that's such an important thing for your team, and I imagine it's the reason why you have so many meetings every day, right?
Yeah, of course.
Non-stop talking.
No, I think we have 2 days where there are no meetings usually, so that are the 2 days I can do researches.
That's a little bit of a break. So I mean, as you can see, it's kind of from start to finish, as Jacob was saying, in the development kind of looking at the development timeline from start to finish. And as you were saying as well, if you don't have that consistency across the teams where everyone understands what is happening, that communication, how things are going to be built, how things are going to look, feedback, input, then it can be quite a difficult process for everybody, and nobody really wants to make it harder than it already is. I know a lot of people do have challenges throughout different teams, and there are things that we have to overcome, but in the end we get this beautiful, wonderful product that we're able to release to the community. And I'm sure lots of people are very, very excited indeed to get their hands into it. I think we're coming up not far from like the hour mark, so like an hour and a half until we release the DLC. Yes. Which is very, very exciting for the community, I imagine, and of course for everyone that's involved as well. I think everyone always deserves a big round of applause whenever anything happens like this. But like you said, the work doesn't stop. You know, back to work straight after this, right?
Kind of.
But yeah, no, it's really interesting to hear about the kind of in-depth research and about your day-to-days as well. Another question that we had, possibly maybe you could answer this, but maybe it's just your own opinion. What do you think the community will like most about Idaho? Is there anything you think that they'll really like?
That was what I mentioned before. They should find all the little pieces and put the state together, kind of, because there is not that big thing you see once and you say like, oh, okay, that's cool, and then you see it second time and but this one is, as I mentioned, and even the state, as I remember, Washington was pretty much green state. Utah was all about the rocks and stones. But here you have everything. You have mountains on the north, you have flatlands next to the borders with Nevada and Utah. Then you have, there's the transition between, there is a lot of canyons, and so let's say it's like Utah and Washington connected, but in a smooth way, I could say.
Yeah, smooth transition.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think yeah, we've touched on that as well earlier, and I think that's definitely one thing that the community will really, really like as well. And also another prominent thing that's across Idaho as well is, of course, there is quite a few like national parks. I think one of my favorite subjects on it, I'm not sure if you researched this yourself, was about the Craters of the Moon National Monument. Do you know much about that, or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This one is when we are doing Utah, we are promoting rocks and what our like vegetable team or the rock designers have done with Utah, because there were rocks everywhere. So here still you have nice rocks in the state. So there was big research behind this one. Especially, I believe that there were 2 or 3 map designers that was their topic to deal with rocks and with all the cliffs. And the Craters of the Moon was one of them, which is kind of specific. I believe it's just in Idaho, or this kind of nature landmark. It's only there, so it's cool.
Yeah, it's a big part of natural history in the state.
Yeah.
I think it was one of my favorite subjects because we released it as a blog, kind of as like a feature, and it was so interesting because I'm not sure about you guys or who from the research team maybe researched about it as well, but I found out a ton of information. I think way more than I could fit in a blog about how it was used for training NASA astronauts on the moon because of its crazy like rock surface, and also the lava, the volcanic history as well, and that stuff is so interesting. And I think for you guys, it'd almost be so fun to try exclude much kind of information about this as well at the same time.
That's the thing. That's kind of irony, because when we've seen Idaho first time, it's wow, what's this? That looks pretty boring. But once you are digging deeper, then you will find like hundreds of facts which are pretty interesting. That are all the small details. And for example, after first day, you just realize like, wow, Idaho, it's a potato. But even like if you use potato, then you know all the things we do, it's like with respect to the state. So we had to do the research about potatoes in Idaho. I mean, like if we use it as a like Idaho/potato, isn't it offensive? So we asked some people from our community, like, hey, you are from the US, what do you think? We have some frequent driver who's going to Idaho. We've got one guy who lived in Idaho, so we just checked it with them to be sure that we don't want to offend anyone, you know. And they just told us like, no, Idaho people, they are proud of their potatoes. They have some part of government which deals with potatoes. And then we realized like, okay, we are not on the thin ice or something because we don't, you know. So we check. We have to check all details, even if these ones like, because of course to someone it could sound like cheap joke or something. But we checked it. Hopefully we checked it with the proper people. Of course, you have 10 people, you have 10 different opinions. So hopefully no one feels offended because of potatoes.
I'm sure the potato thing is fine because I mean, like you said, the state is very proud of potatoes. I think it's on their license plates. I believe even at New Year's, this is a fact that I found out the other day. For New Year's Eve, like New York City, they have like a big disco ball that drops, but in Idaho they use a big potato, and a big potato drops for the New Year's when they do the countdown. So I'm sure they're very proud indeed of their potatoes. And I didn't even think about that. I mean, I don't think anyone really thinks about that from that side, but that's something that your job role entails, is really thinking deeper into the meaning of a lot of things. Just because you see it doesn't mean it's correct, or it can be offensive, or if it's politically correct. And obviously we want to try to avoid those things as possible, because we want people to enjoy the game as much as possible and not focus on these things that might maybe stand out a bit too much, or maybe upset somebody. And I imagine that can be quite frustrating. If you do find something that you think is a really cool idea, but then actually we can't really add that, or maybe it's not appropriate, because our game is you for everybody. So
exactly,
everyone has to enjoy it. Everyone has a reason to enjoy it. And I imagine it could be, you could be sitting there sometimes thinking, oh, should we include this? Oh, maybe we shouldn't research this. And I imagine, yeah, that can be a tough call for
So we're
anybody.
always trying to double check it, because, and in history we've got few places like that, which could be like potentially good industries in the game, but we realized there was some controversy back in the days, so we just skip that, even if it makes sense for our economy, and if we include it, it's easy. But yeah, we try to check the background as well. So, but now I just remember it was Washington again, when we were doing some blogs about Everett. The local government in Everett, they found out that there is some company in Europe, in Czech Republic, and they are creating some game, and their city will be in the game. So our contacts from that city, they just told us, yeah, there was some city council thing, and they just stopped the meeting, and they said like, look, and someone was showing pictures from our game of Everett to the like local municipal, to the local municipality, or how to say it, the local politicians, and they just stopped the discussion, and they were like, wow, we are in the game. So.
That's very cool, kind of getting the attention of the local people as well, and that's a really cool thing, is that through kind of like word of mouth, different people discover the game. And I'm not sure if that's the same case with Idaho. We'll find out, I guess, if anyone really picks up on Idaho and what it includes, or if their town or city is in it, or even little parts. Because I remember, I think it was also from Washington, there was some kind of scenic area where there was a couple of lodges, and it turned out that was based on like a very, very, very small town, very tiny town, but they were just so glad to even see a little part of it in the game. And I think that's the most rewarding thing, right? Is seeing people's reactions to that, seeing how the community responds, people from those towns and from those states, and even going over to the Euro Truck side as well, from those countries, seeing how their country or state or town has been represented, and to make sure it's done it right. And it all comes down to the beginning with you guys, and I imagine that makes you feel proud sometimes.
Of course, that's the feeling. It's like satisfaction, or because basically, if you say like, I'm just doing some video game, some people they just say, "Oh, that's silly making video games." But then when you have eco from the US like this, and they say like, "Wow, my God, our city is in the game," or people recognize that part, so that's awesome.
Good stuff. Well, I'm glad that we're able to kind of get a bit more of an in-depth kind of research point of view for our community. It's always so interesting, because every time you've come on, or somebody from the research team has come on, you've always got something a little bit more extra to share from each project, and you remember little things. And even though it was quite far away, we really appreciate you having you on as well. And is there anything really you kind of want to talk to the community about? We've got the last kind of like 8 minutes here with you.
Okay, 8 minutes.
Pavel, yeah, until we have Pavel step in, our CEO. So is there anything maybe you wanted to highlight to the community before we start doing the kind of transition over?
One thing which shouldn't be forgotten, it's the update 138, which gave like stable ground to Idaho DLC, because the Idaho DLC, just the map expansion, it's one part. But there was another part. It's many teams were working on that update, and there are like new pieces which can be used in Idaho map DLC. We mentioned there is truck stop Bowsers. That's one of the biggest things. There is that SSAO thing, which is, I still have no idea what is it exactly, but it looks cool, to be honest.
It does look great, yeah.
Yeah. Then there was like, that was an easy task, but with 138, it's not from Idaho, but there was a Las Vegas facelift or reskin, which looks pretty cool, and I believe the community sent us very, very positive feedback. So so we will be more than happy to do another cities. So yeah, if you tell us what you think, what you like, that's the best way, because we hear your voices here, and it makes things easier for us how to decide or what to do next time. Show us the way.
And where's the best place for them to do that?
To me, it's the forum, because there are just you have something on your mind. You know that we are doing, I don't know, now we are doing Colorado, and you have something, hey guys, you shouldn't forget this one. Just go there, just create some special topic, just go to SES forum. There is research, how to say it, like research section, and there is European track, American track. Just go there and just create some topic. So that's pretty easy. Of course, we are checking all the channels when I have a time, or morning coffee. You just check a blog post. I don't know, social media. But to me or to the research department, it's forum. It's number one.
There you go. So if you do want to get involved, folks, forums.scssoft.com, you can have it there. And we also do see your messages on the social media. It's what me and Namiro also get to kind of look at every single day. So we do hear from you. We do love hearing from you and seeing what you have to say about everything. So we're always kind of open your ideas and feedback. As many as we get, it's the best place to kind of keep them. As it's kind of permanent there. So
again, it reminded me that was with Washington. There was some blog post, and someone mentioned there in a comment something very interesting. I remember we just get in touch with the guy and we just asked him for details, and there was some feature, new feature for the game. I don't remember exactly now, but I remember that someone brought me a piece of paper, printed. Hey, look at this idea. That's cool. And we just check it out. Wow, we could use it, and I believe it got into the game, but right now I don't remember what was that. But that's the thing. Even you think it's a silly idea or something. It was same with Potato in Idaho. You were promoting billboard with Miss Potato.
Yeah,
that was nice idea. That was from one of our web designers, because Miss Potato has some history in Idaho, and we just said like, why?
Familiar, right? The face is familiar, right?
Yeah. So we just wanted to do it like home baked. So what do? So we asked one of the girls from HR, and we said like, hey, we will take our pictures. You will have potatoes all around you, and she was like scared, I guess.
Guys, it was another picture from some kind of bank or database. It was really taken here in the office. One of our pretty lady lying in the potatoes, so we taking a picture and then creating the billboard out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, but I believe when they first time knocked on the door of her office and they said like, hey, we want to take a picture of you with potatoes.
Yeah, she was pretty shy at the beginning, but at the end she enjoyed that.
Yeah. But still, in the beginning, it was a silly idea, but there is some connection with Idaho or with the thing which was there like historically, because I believe the Miss Potato was I don't know, decades ago.
Yeah.
Not sure now, but wow, this is pretty cool. I love this one.
This is cool. This is the viewpoint over one of the really scenic bridges in Idaho. It's absolutely beautiful. Kind of get like a bird's eye view. You get the paragliders there as well. Wonderful. But yeah, it's just like you said. If it wasn't for that community members' input, then it may not have ever made it into the game. So don't think that your feedback is ever silly, or you have an idea that you feel like, they're not going to ever do it. You never know. You do never know. So we really do appreciate your feedback and all your input as well across the forums and the social media. We do look at them every day, so keep sending them in. We do love hearing from you as well.
And the best thing is when someone will bring us some idea like, hey, this one would be nice Easter egg, and we just okay. And then we really do it. We just add it into the game, and the person who bring the idea, wow, you did it, So or you've done it. So that's really nice feeling after that.
Exactly. Well, we got to wrap things up here with you, Raven. Time is flying. Just a
Nice.
little over an hour to go until the release of Idaho for American Truck Simulator, which is coming out at 6 p.m. So just an hour time on Steam. And unfortunately, that means we do have to go and switch over guests. So it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Raven. It's always great to see you. And I'm sure you've got a lot of reason to celebrate this evening as well.
We
And,
will. Good to
I'm
see
sure
you
we'll
too.
again. Yeah.
I haven't seen you for ages, actually.
I know, it feels like forever, man. It feels like forever.
He's hiding alone.
Yeah. Yeah, so take care, and all of you, just enjoy playing our game and tell us what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you too. I'll
No
see you
worries. We'll
around.
see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. And I keep
Alright,
driving.
folks.
I keep driving, man.
You keep driving. Nimiro.
Yeah, but
exactly.
the Idaho DLC is so spectacular. I mean, I have. Basically, I'm not shy to say that most probably it's the most beautiful DLC we've ever made, at least for me.
High opinion of it. There you go. You heard it here,
Yeah.
folks, from Nimiro. It's the most beautiful DLC he's driven for sure. So definitely reason to get involved. And next up, we'll be having our CEO Pavel Shabor join us, who I'm sure is very excited for the release this
Yes,
evening.
he's in the room already.
And we'll be taking your questions, and we'll be talking a little bit more about Idaho as well. But time is going, folks. Only an hour to go. How are we feeling in the chat? Lots of you there getting excited. We got Asus124, Rock and Roll Dave, Super Sobes, Marcelo Julio, Boosted Doge. Great to see you all from all around the world getting involved in the chat on our Steam and our Twitch channels as well. It's good to have you here for the Idaho release. And I believe we now have Pavel. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
I
he's on the
hope
line.
I do. I hope you can hear me as well.
I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect.
It's good to have you in the
Perfect.
studio. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you very much. I just came from the party already because the internal, our private party is already in full swing.
Alex, we are missing the party, man.
You're missing it, guy.
I
I have potatoes, obviously. We have potatoes, but not just potatoes. We have burgers too. So the team is celebrating already, even before the big button press moment. And I was in a hurry. I was rushing. I have to get it down to my stomach so that I can run here. So obviously the guys here in the studio are poor guys are not being able to participate yet, but we have some food for them protected and stored for later from the crowd.
That's good. Yeah, I imagine everyone's having a really good time and just kind of relaxing a little bit and getting excited for the launch, which is happening in just now under an hour's time. And it's a very, very exciting day. I gotta say, I'm quite excited for this release. And how are you feeling about it?
Excited. I don't know if I can gather my thoughts because so much is happening. So I have to focus here. But it's always an exciting moment. And we have this relatively new tradition of celebrating our big milestones and releases. A couple of years ago, when we were releasing, Scandinavia for Euro Truck 2, it was done all in deep night with a few key people in the studio. Now we are trying to do it in semi-public way. Internally, the whole studio is participating. We're also sharing moments from the release with our audience, with our fans. So it's a very different world. It's a very kind of open way to do things. But it's great for the team. It's exciting moment. I think it's really positive for the team to get this pat on the shoulder that good job. We've done it. We have succeeded with something, and you have this feeling that you've wrapped up a chapter in your development life, and you can move on with a clean table and start something new again. Of course, this is not how it's looking in practice, especially for the team leaders, as Jacob was mentioning here. That's probably Raven too. The pre-production phase of any project is usually about a year or even more before the actual production starts, before more people are moved into the team to actually do the mapping and do the art. So it's not like you are starting on a new project tomorrow. There's teams already, or cores of some teams and new projects that's been going on for months, and in some cases for over a year, and we haven't even started publicly about some stuff. So this is really a long, complex project pipeline, or multiple pipelines in place, where people take turns, join in, move on. But it's always so great to be able to say, okay, this chapter is over, and we can mentally move on.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the community has been very excited and almost in a way a bit spoiled with some of the content we've been releasing them with through the blog and all the things that we've been able to show them, as you mentioned, which has led up to all this hype and everybody that's watching in the chat this evening for the big moment. And have you had much of a chance to check out Idaho for yourself? Have you had a bit of a drive for yourself, or have you just seen parts of it here and there?
I did some drives. I'll be honest, I haven't seen all of it, at least not myself. I often rely on other people showing me these days. There's multiple things going on. I'm not anymore able to even see everything, but I enjoy whatever I'm shown. I've been part of the internal testing process to some extent. So I've seen, the incredible detail that's, in the roads that I've seen. And I always wonder, is it really possible? Is it still us? Is it still SCS? Because, SCS for the first decade, SCS has been such a small, tiny team. And we relied so much on having everything procedurally generated. Now that a lot of stuff is done, like unique buildings or unique models that are just one-off use, and there's so many of them, I'm always wondering, are we not exaggerating it? Are we not, going too wide instead of pushing forward? But the team is finding always a balance between reuse or using like generic versus asking the asset team to create some unique stuff. And there's so much unique, there's so much good combination that I'm really blown away that this is still us. And at the same time, I always come back and realize that we are basically just getting started. I know it's like cliche, we're not getting started, but the ambition to do more, the ambition to elevate what we do to a new standard is still always there. There's technical projects going on in parallel for improvements in gameplay, in the technology, in the engine. So a lot of still new stuff to even just start talking about that's still secret that we keep under wraps. So yes, I've seen some. Whatever I've seen was incredible. I've seen a lot. I've seen the first crop of the early reviews that we made some copies available to media and to influencers. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos that were totally blowing me away with the positive response from Squirrel or from Jeff Avignano. That was really making me proud that the people who are usually they have this integrity in reviewing stuff. So they are not kind of paid reviewers, and they have their honest opinion is that it's really beautiful and that it's fantastic. So I'm really pumped up. I'm really keen on moving on from this point to even greater stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And a lot of people in the chat right now are talking about how maybe they have been driving since the 18 Wheels of Steels day, which is going back a bit now. I mean, time's been flying really, but it's amazing to see how we're almost on a whole kind of new level of how we're creating things and the process. And we talked a little bit with Jacob and Raven as well about the whole timeline, how little things can really affect the whole overall thing, whether that be from our community, ideas. And we're looking at the Viewpoint feature, which is new right now. And this is something that I think a lot of people are going to love. And it's these little new things that come to life, which is really amazing to see.
Yeah, the Viewpoint feature was like the first traces of discussion of it are in our internal wiki pages that we have for the company stuff from like 8 years ago. And the trouble with this project is that you start with a small idea and it develops into a monster. You need this feature and that feature. A part of it you need, obviously we're talking about further improving it with some bits of knowledge or some context in written form, but then you need to make sure that it is translated through the community translation process. So you need to factor time for that. So sometimes you get scared of a feature before you even start implementing it, and you say, maybe next year. Now, obviously, with this, we have been saying next year for quite a while. But now, the map designer team, they decided to push for it. Let's do it maybe halfway through and see what happens. So they didn't give up. They were not scared away. They pushed for it, and for them, this is a mean of kind of selling their work in a way by showing, the cool angles or reminding people of the particular complexity of a location that they have built. For the player, of course, for a slice of the player base maybe. The nice thing about the exploration is that this is a little bit of a reward on its own, that you move somewhere, you discover something, and it's like a mini achievement of sorts. But we hope that it's going to also be a kind of this educational pillar of the gameplay in a way in the future, once we complement the informational part of the feature that's still being planned. If we move on, if we don't give up because we get too many negative feedback news messages based on this feature, but we do hope that this is a good step forward. I'm a son of a teacher, so for me, I always have this instinct for some reason to put some educational element in our game. And I think I've always claimed, when you do this, what's called this elevator pitch, promoting our game to somebody who doesn't know much about it, I always claim that, this game helps people with their geography knowledge. With the Viewpoint feature still pushed forward to its full kind of vision, we may once again claim some more that, people may use our game to learn some interesting stuff without actually realizing that they are learning hard, that they are being schooled or taught, that they are just enjoying their time and learning a little bit here and there. So that's a feature that's kind of happened organically through the effort of the team, because the normal planning process has always, told us, prioritize something else, move on. So this is really a project, like many project of sorts, that comes from the internal belief of a team that the feature is worth pursuing, and seeing that the reception so far is positive, we expect to improve the feature itself and also to come back to our earlier content and revisit interesting places, think about the future content obviously, and build the interesting spots right, plan for them in advance even. This may even affect how we build the world in a way, because we need to think about the geography and history of a place. But I'm really excited seeing the team is not just somebody has planned it from them like in a corporate structure. It's like the team feels that the feature is important for them. They kind of do it as an extra on top of their regular job.
That's really, really cool to hear. And I think you mentioning about the future as well, a lot of people have noticed as of recently that a lot of the updates that we had recently have some really cool updates that and little features that people have always wanted for such a long time, and they feel like we're focusing a lot more on those kind of more community requests. We saw Windows rolling down, we've now got the F mod that's in the game, and just kind of improving things here and there. And I imagine that a lot of people also thought during this time of where we have a pandemic is also been quite difficult for us as well. So it has been a challenging year where I imagine, the team has been growing a lot, and we've seen so much growth within SES and the way things are working. But then when that happens, it seems like we do have our challenging times as well. And working through those has been a very interesting time for everybody at the company.
It definitely was. I think especially for the leaders or for the people who need to onboard new people joining us, it's been quite a difficult time doing this all remotely, managing the teams, learning new ways to communicate. But fortunately, and this is fantastic, the whole of the team has shown that they are really a very reliable bunch. We as a whole managed to switch to working from home really quickly and be productive about it. Obviously, some things were more difficult than others. If you are an isolated creator, actually, you may be really productive at home, maybe even more than if you go to the office and do the office chit-chat. But after a while, you lose this organic exchange of information, and also the heated debates that you can do in a meeting room or even at a water cooler are no longer so organic and so easy. So some information gets lost and doesn't get automatically across the company. You have to be more structured about writing down meeting notes and what you learn actually. It's an experience that moves forward with you even through the period after the quarantine. So it was a special time for us. It was obviously a very difficult time for the whole of the planet now. We're not definitely through it. There are more affected regions as of now than a couple of months ago when we had felt the first pressure, the first wave here. But so I'm not celebrating yet that this is over for us. This is like maybe even the beginning in some way for the economy getting hurt from all the quarantines and all the change of the consumer confidence and all that's happening, that's shifting, making these shifts in the global economy, even in local economies for sure, for a start. So we are in the middle of this. We had to figure out how to get through it. We were fortunate enough to see a continued support from the community. So we just basically doubled down and kept on working all through this time. And fortunately, some of the features that we have been actually working on for a time have just snapped into place, like the new sound with the windows. That obviously wasn't done overnight. We worked on this for a long time. But we were kind of happy or lucky that some of the stuff just clicked into place at this time. But there are many other things that the whole big team here in this office has been and is working on as of now that we haven't even announced or allowed for any speculation. And with any luck, some of this will be visible by the end of this year and beyond. We are definitely not just producing content. We are not only producing great new map DLCs. There's way more happening that people can look forward to.
Absolutely, it is still quite an exciting year when we look at it, and I think we've only just gotten a taste of what kind of the future holds for SES software and also for all the things happening in the future. Of course, we have 2 more DLCs that are coming out this year. We have Colorado, and then we also have Iberia as well that are also in the works, and it's kind of almost like a new boundary for SES. Before, traditionally, I mean, even not that long ago when I joined the company, it was the 2 DLCs a year, and now we're pushing it up to 3, or doing our very best to anyway. And how have you seen the challenges in that? Has that been quite difficult, do you think, or do you think it's been easier with the growth?
Well, the increased headcount, in some ways, of course, you have more bandwidth. In other ways, it's way more difficult to juggle multiple balls in the air. You have to learn how to operate multiple teams that are depending on other teams and like split the load of the work between not just internally the people here, but also we have some partner studios that we outsource some of the artwork to them. So I would never say it's easy. And with each person joining in, you'd have to adapt and adjust. And in the meantime, you of course lose some people. We have some of our guys have started new exciting careers in at home in small studios around Prague here, and you wish them luck, but at the same time you lose some important know-how. So this is an important reminder that you have to keep the know-how kind of institutional, I would say, to have proper documentation, to have more people always in the line for being promoted to roles of responsibility. So it's where we are now. It's already showing a lot of kind of structured system, but to further increase the numbers of releases per year, you have to go to another kind of level. And we know that we need to move up, of course, if we are to see, especially the vision for American Truck Simulator, to see the East Coast in our lifetime. This pace is not enough. We have to figure out how to have even more people on the team, how to engage the fan base even more, because ultimately we need to persuade them that it's worth it for them to pay for new releases or to contribute to the development. So we have to adapt the business model, of course, or keep showing kind of reasons for people to stick around. We cannot milk it too obviously or too heavily. We have to be humble enough in what we do to be kind understood and to be kind of accepted by our fans or by the consumers. So it's like a multiple fronts that you have to be present on, that you have to battle. Development itself, the business, the management of the teams, office space, all that, that as a small team you can kind of focus and have it all done and everybody's on the same page because we are sharing the same room. Now some years later, suddenly you have so many people and so many projects to juggle. So it's always a challenge. I guess it never gets easy. It never gets kind of automated because each year you're facing new issues. Like we are here talking about kind of production and products, but the technology team, they are facing this issue of moving forward with the engine features without breaking what we have built so far. They have to build new stuff in a way that it can kind of integrate everything that's been built so far and improve it in some structured programmatical way. So the new Lightning that we are working on, the new engine features, the new DirectX 12 and Vulkan graphics, all that needs to be able to just plug in this content and just make it look better or run faster or both ideal. So for the whole company, there needs to be multiple people running around, knowing what's happening, coordinating people, explaining, kind of promoting why this is important over something else, picking the right priorities. So it's never a boring job. It's always kind of challenging job. And I'm definitely not the one doing most of it anymore. I used to, but now we have like so many great people here contributing and making things happen. So it's never getting easy. And if we need to, and we do need to grow some more, it's going to be, like as I said, another level of challenge to actually have 3 or 4 teams working in parallel on just one universe of a game, and stepping on each other's toes because this piece of art is abused by being put into some corner of the world where it's not supposed to go, and all these issues popping up every day. You have to kind of work through it. But I'm excited for it. I'm very much looking forward if we get this opportunity to grow some more.
Absolutely, and it definitely has grown a lot, that's for sure. I mean, looking back on it now, it doesn't feel like these games have actually been around that long, but they have. I mean, Euro Truck Simulator 2, 2012, American Truck Simulator 2016, and we're in 2020 now, coming up to 2021, rapidly fast approaching, as scary as that is. It's amazing to see how the company always adapts to how they can continue on growing the community fan base and bringing new features in. And I imagine that's obviously very difficult because the engine isn't the most newest of engines. It's not obviously like the newer games that come out on the new generation. So I imagine that is a difficult task for everybody, like you were saying, all the different hurdles there are when you come across these sort of things to try update the game and make them feel still up to date and modern.
Well, there are obviously pros and cons of having your own engine as a studio. For us, the ability to continuously evolve what we do. This is the same engine, theoretically, as what we had 15 years ago, but it's definitely allowing way different things to the creators in the team. And it's always, there is so many specialized stuff that switching to any kind of generic engine wouldn't be of much help. Maybe we would have, some of the pixels would be a little shinier in the world, like easily. On the other hand, stuff like the articulated truck and trailer physics, or these are something that we have been working on for years in our engine that we cannot just grab from another engine's physics library and just use, or the AI, or the map creation pipeline where you are building and viewing what you're built in real time in a way that our artists can. It's all very special and specific to us. And we have a roadmap internally. We have vision of where we need to get, where we want to get. And this is definitely not the last of us that the players will see in the department of engines and technology. There is a lot of stuff happening, but as I explained, we have to do it gradually in a way that doesn't break the older stuff. We cannot start from scratch. We are committed to continuing the development of the games because people have invested physically, literally financially, as well as emotionally into these universes, and we want to keep on giving, we want to keep on expanding on these worlds, and at the same time elevating them to higher quality standards, higher detail and fidelity and realism. So all that is happening, and all this will be happening, and we're actually very proud of what we have achieved technically, because this is not automatic. Only a few select teams are actually daring to still work on their own technology and not to use somebody else's. And it's in a way also, through the 2 decades in games industry, it's also in a way a sort of like insurance against any massive shifts on the market or on the engine market. Engines sometimes come and go, and what seems to be like total certainty today may be different a year from now. So this even protects us from anybody changing the business models or changing, licensing model or something from somebody else's technology. That we have the destiny in our hands. We are in control of our future. So that makes it even kind of more stable situation for us.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's evident to see as we keep receiving these updates. We touched on the 1.3 update as well, which came to American Truck Simulator recently, and is in the open beta for Euro Truck, and all these really cool little features that are included in both of them. Even in terms of assets, like obviously the new dealerships and stuff in Euro Truck, or here in American Truck as well. That there's lots of really cool little future things that just keep it fresh and up to date for the community to enjoy. And we've got a lot of people in the chat who are asking about the future. Is there anything maybe possibly you could share with us about the future, or anything that might be coming to light, or is that kind of secret for now?
Well, I guess I'll just be maybe hinting and not really, spilling details. But as I even said before, we are releasing one DLC today, and we have promised another state in ATS universe coming soon. I'm not able to really promise that Colorado will be out by the end of the year. We are doing our best, but as I said, COVID has to some extent slowed us down, as well as opened some new opportunities. But for the moment, we are still in the when it's done kind of region. We will see how quickly we progress. Beyond that, it's obvious that there has been pre-production going on states beyond just what we have announced. We have teams, and sizable teams, already working on 2 more map DLCs. A big one, a major one that we have been kind of always scared of because it's huge, and a small one that will kind of fill in the time before the big major release. But we already know our production plan for 2 years in advance. So there is research going on for even more advanced stuff. The same with Europe. Of course, we are talking Iberia, but already a core team has assembled on the new DLC. The plan is pretty much ready. The road network is already researched and understood. There is somebody already thinking about what will happen with the economy and stuff. So this is just for the map design, obviously, a vision that we need to have in the long term. The same for vehicles. We have hinted in some ways, or people have been able to reverse engineer our data and understand that there is more trucks coming to American Truck Simulator. They can just speculate what the specific models are in the pipeline, but we hope to be able to soon claim that we have completed all the major truck manufacturers for American Truck Simulator with at least 1 vehicle, and hopefully eventually more. So all departments are pumping out new stuff, new exciting stuff. And I would, for today, just put the spotlight on Idaho and enjoy this release. And I'm not ready to spill much more beyond. Just be sure that we are totally busy working on the future and on new visions.
Absolutely, yeah. And like you said, Idaho is the spotlight today. So that's all we have for the chat, who have been asking pretty much the whole time during the stream for little snippets of the future. I think that's about as much as we're going to get. But going back to Idaho, Jacob was talking about these micro details that have been coming into the map and really focusing a lot on the scenery and the details that you find that a lot of people might not even notice while they're driving. And I think it's really fantastic to see that the teams are really kind of focusing on these little things as well, because they do ultimately make quite a large difference. And we've seen a lot of that in the past as well, but it seems like the teams are really kind of raising their bar every single year. And it must be quite I'd say you'd be proud to kind of look at how much they're advancing each time a new DLC comes out. They're always kind of pushing the boundaries, as you say.
Yeah, from like, it's a dirty word from the management's point of view. You are both excited as well as scared, of course, because anytime any new cool thing is actually, you pay the opportunity cost for not doing something else, because ultimately your bandwidth, your focus is always limited. So you always make these choices, tough choices about what to pursue and what to postpone. But for us, it's the best way is if our team here internally is having fun building stuff, or overcoming challenges and coming out new stuff, and keeping themselves happy this way and excited for the future, rather than just pushing some like order of the palace down their throat. You have to absolutely do this because our analysis or our market research is absolutely suggesting that this will going to raise our profitability by 3.6%. So it's like you have to give people the room for their own creativity, for their own kind of excitement, as well as balance this with with the need of the big picture. We need to survive from year to year. If we want to give our fans what they call for, we have to find ways to even grow. We have to find ways to afford stuff. So we need to, of course, find solution to the problem of releasing a couple of updates and projects every year, because we could just sit down for a year in dark cave and produce something incredible, but then in the meantime, maybe without releasing anything or without making ourselves hurt, people may forget about us and move on to another game. So you balance things between being visible, making some extra engagement, extra fun through the World of Trucks events, and making new content, making new features. And you have to always balance, always iterate, always like revise and see what we have agreed upon a month ago is no longer true. Fortunately for us, we are still a small team, and we are still able to make quick decisions. We are not depending on like deep structure of decision makers that goes all the way across continents. We sometimes switch direction from day to day because there's new data coming in, there is new opportunities appearing, there is new piece of code that suddenly makes a big change for how you can do something, and it clicks into place, and you say, okay, we need to turn around and do things differently. So we're lucky to be in this position that we are able to do that. But it's like, I'm repeating myself. It's every day it's a new challenge. Every day is something new, exciting, happening.
Absolutely. And we got a comment here actually just in the Twitch chat coming from this KT, I think that's how you pronounce his name, but saying this revising and communicating with the fans is something that you guys are doing really, really well and getting even better with all the time. And I think that's always been such a main core focus for you as a company, and as well as yourself, is having that communication with the community, and makes SES one of the reasons why people find this company so unique, is that communication.
I appreciate
with
the sentiment. Well, it may seem so now, but again, from the longer perspective, we have been around for 20 years. We have been quite a silent company for the first decade or so. Then when we started, it was just really like random blog posts here and there, with me still originally being the writer, the copywriter of the text. Now we have a fully fledged team. Obviously, the guys around are part of it. That really, we do our best to be a part of people's life in a way. It's a hobby. It's more than a game. It's a hobby where it's also like a community. It's not just you sitting or anybody sitting isolated in the corner. For many people, this is about finding new exciting stuff on the internet, learning some stuff. The game is obviously different people play differently. We have these pillars, as we call it. Somebody who is a truck freak is enjoying, the tuning element of the game, and the cosmetics that we put in the game are a big factor for what their enjoyment is all about. Other people are more about the exploration, so we have to push for exploration. Now we think maybe the educational element can be a little bit, raised in a way, and we have more about education than just viewpoints. We are really looking around, feeling around for what we can do in serious training, kind of overlap between what the toy game is versus some kind of serious applicability of it to driver training. So we'll see what comes out of this year, next year, we'll see. So there's a ton of stuff happening, and again, I'm repeating myself, but I'm excited to see it happen, and I'm excited to see in less than half an hour from now to see another chapter being kind of wrapped up and we move on.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I know that you yourself even get very much involved on the community side of things as well, where you're kind of always kind of looking at comments and getting emails and such as well. And you're even
people who are trying to get in touch with us. Maybe we're not perfect. Maybe we do not manage to respond to every email. Maybe we do not read everything. But there is a lot of people, including me, that basically make it their daily kind of part of life to look at this or that kind of sample of social media space or forum or YouTube comments or blog comments, and I read a ton of stuff. And sometimes when you're I don't know whether Twitter gets a heart from SCS, actually it's me looking at your content and liking an image and pressing the little like icon. It's not just like robot or here. It's us actual people who do enjoy stuff. I do not do it automatically. Do not do it like to anybody just to get likes or just to raise the numbers on social media. It's us actually enjoying being a part of the community and being part of something bigger than just us. It's incredible. You see the scene with the mods. You see how people enjoy stuff. How people kind of take the game as like a make a decision about their career or future life just based on the game and its community to become a truck driver or to become involved in a logistics company or just we affect people's life in ways that we don't even anticipate or haven't anticipated when we started. So that's great. That's incredible.
Absolutely, and we touched on it earlier as well with Raven, with the research that people get involved with us as much as we like to get involved with them as well in terms of how they contribute their ideas to the platform and how different research tips as well when we have the pre-research form things open that contribute things that they see around their city and things they want to see for future DLCs and stuff like that. And I think it's just such a really cool but important part of the whole process as well. It's kind of like they're part of the process.
I think we can possibly do way more. Just thinking about the comments that I've read under the various YouTube review videos or our video or our blog. So many people from Idaho here responding, this is just right. You have missed out on this. But so much engagement when you realize how many people just from this relatively not so much populated state got excited about becoming a part of it or being a part of it. I can only imagine when we get to some of the bigger states, or I can only imagine what we could do if we really got everybody engaged or involved at such a scale. I don't know how we would process all this, but just speculatively. I'm really looking forward to becoming even better at engaging with the community and it's not us versus them. It's like a shared effort in many ways between us and the community, kind of educating us, teaching us about what it means to be a truck driver, what it means to drive a truck. When we started those years back, we had very little idea of what kind of deep topic we have ventured into, and now we are always learning. Every day we are learning, and usually we are learning through the dialogue with the community of somebody like pushing this or that little information on us to help us get smarter, get us wiser about what we do.
Yeah, and I can only agree with that. It's great to see everyone's comments, and even right now here in the chat, we've got lots of people who are sending in their comments and ideas and such like that, and it's just great to have that sort of engagement. But like you said, we can always do more in the future, and so I look forward to those kind of ideas for the future as well in terms of us engaging with the community. But let's get back onto Idaho. Idaho has lots to offer in terms of very unique cities, kind of very unique landscapes, and the map team was saying it was quite a challenge to kind of make those transitions between desert and forest, because it seems like Idaho has it all, and it's almost been kind of a collective kind of like challenge kind of tackling from all the previous DLC that we have kind of being put into this one DLC, because it just seems like it has everything. I'm not sure if you've noticed that as you've run through it, from the rocks of Utah to kind of like the evergreen of Washington. It's kind of all encased into Idaho, and I'm sure lots of people will see a lot of the things that we've done from the past DLCs kind of not reiterated, but kind of taken and improved on in this DLC.
Yeah, it's at the same time, it's such a small building block to the big picture of covering, more of North America than just continental US. We have intentionally named the game American Truck Simulator, not just US Truck Simulator, even though we are starting within the mainland US. So there's so much more for us to do. Sometimes I get scared. How can we do that? How many years we are going to take? Obviously, it's not going to happen so quickly as many people would wish. But we need to figure out a way to be more productive, to be, as a whole, to be more, to release things more frequently. So this is what we are figuring out. And I think we are getting better at this. We are getting more structured at this. And good stuff is in the pipeline, for sure.
Absolutely.
I think, it's 1740,
Yep.
Military time.
Yes,
we have maybe 10 minutes before we move to the focus and the camera and everything to our fun zone, where we will be celebrating together the big button press. I wanted to, bring some kind of practical information. Idaho obviously is another DLC in our list that people may have different opinions on how we price DLCs. We have to, earn a living out of what we work, but at the same time, we want to always support our loyal, fans and customers. So we have figured out a way to have means for people to obtain the DLC at a discount if you are kind of a local player of ours, or a loyal player of ours, and you have purchased most of the DLC so far. Please take a look at the Steam bundle that we have prepared, the Pacific North Coast?
North Pacific.
North?
I don't know, man.
You have totally puzzled me now.
Pacific
Northwest. Pacific Northwest,
Pacific
yeah.
Northwest, yeah.
Bundle, which is actually a way for people to get the new DLC at a 30% discount. So before you immediately press the buy button, there's a way for us to offer you a discount right out of the gate this way, because we think we don't want to scare people away from the vision of covering the whole of the continent and piece by piece, getting dry with all these purchases. We want to show a nice face. We want to give back some of the support, laugh and emotion. So we figured out a way that with Steam bundles, we can offer our loyal supporters a way to get access to the DLC easier. At the same time, the bundles are, of course, a great way for new people to join in, because they will be able to grab stuff at a discount at the same time. So there's this bundle that people should focus on, that people should, not overlook. And of course, there's this topic of the new World of Trucks event happening right with the start of the DLC. I've noticed we're getting some heat from people who say, we are making an event that people have to buy a DLC to even participate, have to join immediately. It's not like we want people to necessarily rush and make the purchase decision right away. We just want to reward people who are the loyal early adopters of a new piece of content with an event that we will probably keep on for quite many weeks. around and just have people a chance to get rewarded for exploring the state. We'll see what the feedback is. Maybe this is a stupid idea and people will be upset at getting something for free, something like an extra added bonus, because it's kind of controversial in a way that it puts some pressure on our customers. Or maybe people will just mostly appreciate that you are giving us not just new content, you are giving us also a little bit of an extra reason to explore, to feel like a part of community again in a way, and having this shared community goal. So we always kind of look to new ideas about how to engage people, how to promote the idea of doing stuff together, even before we have a proper multiplayer, which we still hope we'll get one day. We want to have this, I would say sometimes poor man's multiplayer in these World of Trucks events that are engaging people and giving them a shared goal and shared vision. So also pay attention to World of Trucks event. Give us your feedback on how you feel. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it both in some ways? And how can we fix that if it's a problem? So this is another element of us trying to be more with our players, trying to give them a reason to interact, to be a part of something beyond just the single player core of the game. So there's more stuff happening than just us trying to get a bit of money from people's wallets. It's us trying to be a place where people can find, entertainment and a way to have their hobby as fun as possible.
And if you do want to find out information on that, you can head over to our blog.scsoft.com. The World of Trucks event will go live after the release of Idaho, and you can find out all the information and the rules there. You need to have a World of Trucks account for that as well, and you can also find the link to the Steam bundle there for the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, a bit of a tongue twister, that one, for some reason. So yeah, you can find all the information there and definitely take advantage of those deals on Steam as well before you click that buy button, which we haven't got long to go for that. We've got 15 minutes to go, and I believe that means we might have to let you go, Pavel. I think you need to prepare for the big button.
Yeah, I guess I'll see, or not me, but people will see me again. Those who stay around the stream, people will see me again because I'm a part of the mini team that is actually hosting the bit of the celebration that gets streamed publicly to the fan base. So see you around. I'll be back in the other place in our office in a short while, and I hope that if you decide that the DLC is worth it for you, that we'll be able to meet on the roads of Idaho soon as a community, us and you, and we'll be celebrating the success, and we'll be getting ready, or we are ready for new exciting stuff happening, both in American Truck as well as Euro Truck 2. And with that, I think I really do need to move on and stop jabbering. Thanks, right, everybody. Well, thanks for having me. Much. And I'll see you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Pavel. And we will see you again in a few minutes. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
There you have it, folks. Pavel Shabor with some of your hot questions and a little bit of insight to the future, and also kind of on the past and Idaho as well, which is all very, very exciting indeed. So
it was excellent on time with my parking as well, as I just finished the last job, I guess.
About under 15 minutes to go till the release of Idaho, which is all very, very exciting, absolutely. And I know a lot of you are eager with getting over to the Steam store page to get ready to push the button to buy it for yourselves, and I know lots of you excited as well. So don't worry, do not go anywhere. We're not going to go offline just yet. We will be transferring live over to the SCS kitchen, where there's a bit of a party happening. We got some of the team there, people celebrating, and they'll be pushing the button to release it. So do not go anywhere. We're not just ending just yet. Maybe actually, Nimiro, it might be worth you swapping headsets maybe now, if there's nobody else that's going to come beside you, just so I can get a clearer sound of you.
Okay, I will try that, man. Give me a second.
No worries. So folks, remember again, if you do want to check out the details of the Pacific Northwest bundle, or the Cruising
Okay.
Idaho event.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Alex?
I
Can you hear
can
me
hear
in the
you,
long run?
yes.
Okay, good.
I can hear you all well and good. I just head over to our blog, blog.scssoft.com for all the details there. Nimo, how did you enjoy your drive through Idaho? You did very well with those triple trailers, I gotta say.
Yeah, you've been watching, right? You've been watching.
I
You've been
was watching, man.
for
I
my
had you on my big
mistakes.
screen.
Yeah, you've been waiting for my mistakes to be able to laugh on me again.
No, not at all.
I mean, man, the Idaho DOC is really beautiful. I really enjoy it. At the beginning, I was like a little nervous that I should speak from time to time, to join the conversation. But all the guests were doing pretty good job. Obviously, you as well, man. As a moderator, you're the best I've ever worked and cooperated with. But you're so far the only one I've been doing streams so far.
I mean, just take the number one spot straight away.
I'm just kidding. You're doing a great job. But after few miles, I was completely like a drowned in, taken away from the Idaho, and I enjoyed. And 3 hours just passed, and I was like, where the time went, where the time
I
go.
know. It's gone so fast.
So the DOC is absolutely amazing, beautiful, and our team did a great job. And I can't wait to read all the comments and all the feedback and all the feels and vibes from the community,
Absolutely.
from you guys, from every one of you.
Yep, and the best way you can do that, actually, we would love for you to use a hashtag when sharing Idaho content. Please use it. We'd love to see it, and it's the way I'm going to be looking at Twitter. So using the hashtag Cruising Idaho.
Yes,
is the hashtag Cruising Idaho on Twitter, Instagram, and also posting on our Facebook if you want to as well on American Truck Simulator. We'd love to see it. We'll be making sure to retweet and share and like our favorites, just like we said earlier as well. And we'd love to see all the content you produce. You guys who are on the social media are always sharing what you're doing, what journeys you're up to, and we love to see that.
Absolutely.
So definitely use that hashtag as well. So with T-minus 10 minutes left until we release Idaho, let's interact with the chat with a bit, because we haven't had too much of a chance as we've been quite busy with people we've been interviewing on Steam and on Twitch. We're live. Hello to everyone. It's great to see you all. We've got people from around the world. Lots of you have been telling us where you're from. But how are you liking the first look of Idaho, everybody? How are you liking are you excited for it to be released in 10 minutes? What are you going to be just jumping straight into it? I know usually as soon as it releases, our viewer numbers just kind of plummet because everyone just goes onto the game, right?
Well, Alex, actually, I probably am needed in the kitchen as well.
Are you needed in the kitchen as well?
Yeah, I will be because I will be the person who's going to give a signal to Philip that he is able to switch to the camera that is placed in the kitchen, to make able the pressing of the button live. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, Alex, but it's time for me to say goodbye.
That's all good.
But as we already talked, Alex, together previously, maybe we can tease that we plan more streams coming. So I guess next week we will be seeing each other once again, and all of you guys, hopefully. So everyone, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for hopefully wishing me luck while I was hauling the triple trailers. So thanks everyone, and thank you, Alex, for the amazing job as always. And
thank
we'll
you.
be in touch. We'll be in touch.
And I'm sure will there be a voice in my ear to let me know when we're going to switch over?
I think that I'm not sure right now. Give me 1 second. I will check it with our technical guy, our video maker, Philip, hiding in a cave.
He might be able to let me know over.
Yeah. I will just ask him how.
Just to make sure that I know I'm transitioning. But no, thank you, Nimo. I appreciate it.
Maybe you will be just sitting there like forever, talking until we will like send you a pigeon or a post. Let you know that we are offline already. Give me 1 moment, man.
All right, thank you, Nimo. All right, everybody. Yeah, but no, great to see all of you from around the world. We got people. I missed a lot of the places that you're saying you're from, but a lot of people from Germany. Let us know, folks, in the chat, Twitch and Steam, where are you watching from right now? I did see a lot of Americans earlier saying good morning. A very good morning to you if it is still morning on your side of the States. We got people from Brazil. We got Florida in the house. We got Portugal, Texas, Turkey, Norway, Poland. Oh my goodness, the chat is flying. Greece, Brazil, Germany, Illinois, Spain, Bulgaria, Germany, California, Nebraska gang in the house, Colombia, Czech Republic, Belgium, New Jersey, Wyoming. Wow, man, I am overwhelmed here. Denmark, Mississippi, the Vatican, Ireland. Someone said behind me. Okay, that's a little bit creepy, but it's great to have you all with us here on the stream for the release of Idaho. That's going to be coming very, very soon. I got to say, as I was having a bit of a drive through it, it is really, really a beautiful state, and I can only hope that you're going to enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed it as well. We got Nimue back. Nimue, are you back?
Yes, I'm back, and
Hello,
I have a quick information for you.
Go for it.
The plan is that at 17:58 of our time, so that means minus 1 hour for you, I guess, or plus, I don't know. We will be switching live into the kitchen. So say goodbye to the community and try to time it at 17:58 because we will be switching to the kitchen. Okay? Is that good?
All right.
And
I will keep an eye on the time.
To you guys, thanks again for being here with us today, and I hope that you all will enjoy the new DLC to the
Absolutely.
limit.
So, thank you, Nimue.
No problem, Alex. Thank you.
All right, we'll see him in a little bit. So we got a few minutes just between the release of Idaho and us. We've had lots of great guests. We had Jacob from the map leads. We had Raven from research. We had Pavel from the interview. Did you guys have a favorite guest that was on board today? I really enjoyed. I always enjoy Jacob's input on the maps and everything like that. It's always really, really nice to kind of hear the whole process and the thought process behind it, and even adding those new little things in, like the viewpoints that you were saying as well. People here, Raven, Pavel, I mean, they're all great. Let's be real, they're all great. So yeah, in about 3 minutes time, you're absolutely right, we will be switching over to the kitchen and getting a view and probably a little bit of a speech about Idaho. We've got a little bit of gameplay. In the meantime, it seems like we'll see just a little bit more of Idaho, just kind of teasing you that little bit more before we get to release it. But it's great to have you all here in the chat this evening. And of course, our team as well, celebrating, rightly so, in the kitchen, probably having some nice burgers. If you could send me some to London just by post, that would be fantastic, guys. I mean, I know you're all having a bit of a munch right now, but if you could send me some of that delicious potatoes and stuff, that'd be fantastic as well. All right. So, has anybody seen anything in Idaho that they're looking forward to seeing to most? We've featured a lot in the blog posts. We've even released a few videos. Has anything got anything they're really looking forward to in Idaho? The I-84? Snake River. Ooh. Party time. It is party time. Exactly. Idaho Falls. Idaho Falls is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Got party background noises. Yep, I can hear the background noises now. The party is definitely in full swing. The football stadium. Now, Boise, I got to tell you guys, just as we have a couple of minutes left here, definitely visit Boise. Maybe even make it your first stop on the trip, because Boise is beautiful. I mean, you get to drive right through the city and see some of the things in there. It's fantastic. So definitely take a look. Hello from Mozambique. That's good. 4 minutes to go. I know people are counting down. Maybe we can get a countdown in the chat folks as well. When we switch over in just a couple of minutes, maybe you'll have to have a little bit of a countdown, and we'll see how we go from there. 3 minutes to go now. People are definitely counting down. All right. Well, since we've only got a minute left with me, we're going to be switching over to the kitchen, live to the SES kitchen, where they are going to be releasing Idaho. Folks, it's been a pleasure being on the stream with you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening enjoying Idaho. Let me know what you think on the socials. Use that hashtag #cruisingidaho, and let us know what you think. But I really hope that you enjoyed the interviews today, and I hope we get to see you again very, very soon. But yeah, enjoy Idaho. It's coming up for you in just a minute's time. It might be a little bit awkward. Maybe there'll be some magic transition when it's going to happen. But if I don't see you again, have a wonderful evening and enjoy Idaho, everybody. I think it's going to be one you're going to be really impressed with. That's for sure. All right. So I think we should be heading over to the kitchen any minute now. If I'm still here, it's still a bit awkward, isn't it? But we'll be heading over in just a minute.
hello. Chances are we are live online by now with the fans watching. I see the stream. It's delayed. Okay, so maybe we are. Actually, we are. We are. Welcome to our celebration to the fun zone of SES Software. I think the camera is not showing the whole crowd here. Socially responsible crowd, sort of, with distancing a bit. We try to look apart. Okay, we are here assembled to celebrate. This is welcome to our internal event that we have here for the team. We are here to press the button to make the final step in the release of the Idaho DLC. And I'm excited to see so many faces here, so many members of the SES software team. This is a big moment for the map designers, of course, but this is a big moment for the whole of the company, for everybody contributing, be it testers, research, model, vehicle team. Also, we want to thanks to our volunteer testers, to our volunteer translators, to our partners, to our partnering studios that are helping us with all the production needs. So this is a big moment when things fall in place, and it's always an exciting moment, and it's always a reason for us to celebrate. So here we are celebrating, but here we are about to make the release happen. And I would like to welcome Jacob. If you've been on the stream, you have seen me and him through the past few hours jabbering about what we are doing, what we are planning. So he is the lead of the Idaho project, and maybe he will still be able to squeeze a few words into the stream before we do the button press. So thank you, and I welcome Jacob.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Now seeing the clock, it's already 6 p.m. and a lot of people are already probably pressing F5 on their Steam page, expecting the game to be released, so I'm not going to prolong this anymore. I'd love to invite all the map designers that worked on Idaho to please come around this table and get ready. We're going to press the button all together, hopefully in some sensible fashion, because there's quite a lot of us. Technical difficulties? Okay. Great. Wow, that's a lot of us. Okay. I'd just like to repeat thanks to everybody, not just the people who are going to press the button. A lot of people helped make this a reality. So thanks a ton. We're not going to prolong this anymore. And maybe we could do a countdown from 10. Will you help me? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hopefully Steam will process it any second now. Thank you everyone for joining us, and now we're switching to the Idaho trailer. Enjoy.